Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody, on highvibe.tv? And today we are including the YouTube audience on the Leo King for Full Disclosure, the show that Craig and I, but tonight we also have High Vibes and in the house we're doing a special Full Disclosure. I guess we're doing the solar return. What did you call it, Craig? The solar
return celebration
for the Leo King.
Hi.
Bringing some love up in here, some Leo energy to save the planet. I'm not saying I'm doing it or High Vibe doing it. We're just saying, we're just showcasing, remember that you can have some fun. And actually, I got to give a big round of applause to these two here for making all this happen. I didn't do any of this. All I did was go, I have a crown somewhere.
Well, happy birthday, David.
Thank you, Ann.
Happy birthday.
And if anybody's never seen this show before, because you're not on High Vibe, which I would recommend that you do by clicking any of the links down below here, is, first of all, we like to just disclose how we're really feeling about things in life, and we also are here to answer your questions in the chat. Now, if you're on High Vibe, you all know the special email, but I'm not giving that special email away. So, it's kind of, I love Full Disclosure because it is kind of that, like, we do this show because it's a safe place to do it on High Vibe where we can really say and answer questions and even whatever people are feeling in the chat that we can't do on social media. But tonight, because it's my birthday, we can go a little bit more lighthearted. And we wanted to show the YouTube audience a little bit of what you're missing out on being on High Vibe. So how's everybody doing tonight here? I'm going to look up the chat. What's going on? How does it feel to be on Full Disclosure tonight, Ann?
Well, it feels great to be here for your solar return.
And in the house.
Yeah. Unexpected and fun.
Unexpected and fun.
Yes.
Actually, that would be the best way to describe this show.
I think that's a great way to describe it. Yeah.
I would minus that there's one more maybe description, which would be intense. Sometimes it can be intense.
Sometimes intense.
Yeah. But
thought-provoking. In-depth.
My question is, though, Ann, why didn't you get yourself a pair of these glasses as well?
I had no idea I was going to be
They have
on
confetti
tonight.
in them.
Or I would have.
Confetti.
Yeah, confetti
It's a
glasses.
celebration.
woo!
Yeah, no,
It's
been a wild day. It's been a wild week. It's been a wild year since the last time we celebrated this momentous day in your life.
I don't even remember what I did last year. Is that sad?
That is sad.
I don't remember. I
Well-
think I had a really bad birthday or something. It was really hard. Full disclosure, right? My divorce was July 5th.
Just popping off.
And yeah, I think I went to Vegas or something. Maybe. My whole brain just goes to whenever I'm like in a weird place, I'm like, Vegas!
That's not a bad place to unwind.
But I don't think I did my solo return in Vegas, though. Or maybe I was in Marina. I don't remember what I did for my birthday. Ugh. I think, actually, you know what? I think I did go to Vegas the weekend right before my birthday. I did. I remember now. But there's some things I won't disclose about that birthday.
That's for behind the wall.
This one is on camera, so you will remember this.
I will
time.
Well, I will remember because you know what? I feel at 36 years old, and I've been the Leo King for 7 years now. This is the first time I've actually sat in the throne and worn the crown and said, yo, it's my birthday, and like playing out Leo vibes because I think, and I want to ask you, Ann, the way the world's been for 2020, and you're a history professor, like, what in history do you feel like we have been through times that have been maybe this extreme for what you would think through all of your scanning through the histories of life and this humanity that would be relatable to this time?
Yeah, obviously everybody has thought about the plague. There are periods of plague, so that would be similar. But I think what I've thought of that's more recent is World War II, at the beginning of World War II in Europe. There was a real there was a period of time called the Phony War, where people had a huge reaction as soon as the war was kind of underway, or there was a fear of the war, and everything shut down. And I mean, I'm a British historian, so I think about what happened in England. And all the entertainments were closed, and people kind of didn't know what to do during that period of time. And to me, that's what I think of when I think of this period. You know.
Well, okay, so if we're going to go into some British history, since we have an amazing British...
Let's wander down that cobblestone road right there.
I would love to wobble down that cobblestone road. What about... Well, we did an amazing documentary that everybody can watch, which Anne just blew our minds with so much history, which you can watch it. It's on YouTube or High Vibe TV. Just you can find it. It's History of the Stars.
History in the Stars.
History of the Stars.
Yeah.
Episode 1. You can search for it. Pretty easy to find.
It's on there.
But I would say, now I'm a big, I'll be honest, I loved Braveheart, okay? Loved Braveheart. That was one of my favorite movies. I love Mel Gibson, by the way, if everybody doesn't know. I think he's a great actor. That's full disclosure. And I think that Mel, as a Capricorn, poor guy, when Pluto came into Capricorn in 2008, it took him out first. But it was because he was living in his truth. He's actually been right like this whole time about Hollywood and all this stuff. More full disclosure. But anyway, going into that time, that was with, I think, Longshank and King Edward, right? And the Longshanks, right? Mm-hmm. And that seemed like a very tumultuous period when England was was in control of the Scottish, but there was a lot of dirty stuff going on, but there was also a revolution at the same time of the Scottish, and it really was William Wallace. That's a true story, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But that movie made it seem very like the English were pretty nasty to the Scottish. Mm-hmm. Is that the true story, or is it a little bit more maybe different?
Well, I mean, of course, everything's dramatized for film. But it definitely captures the fact that the Scottish were never treated equally by the English. And I mean, I know we have some Scottish viewers who comment occasionally, and maybe there's someone in the chat who will say something about how Scotland feels about England. But yeah, there's a big rivalry between them, and England hasn't always been kind to the Scottish.
How do you feel, Anne, about this whole thing coming up now about the Queen not really being the Queen and the royal family and that whole situation?
Ooh, grilled.
Well, you know, Craig, I keep meaning to look more into what everyone is talking about, because I have not looked into the latest version of who people say is the correct king of England. But I mean, it's true that at a certain point the king was kicked out and was replaced by another monarch because the king had Catholic leanings and they wanted a Protestant monarch. So yes, there is another line out there that I don't really want to say this on YouTube, right? But yeah, I mean, technically there's another bloodline that's actually closest in line, but for British history, you have to think about the legal aspects too, because the law and Parliament is always important too. So if Parliament did not accept a monarch, then that's part of the story. It's not just who gets born as the monarch, it's also who Parliament decides or agrees is the monarch.
Right, so Parliament would have to basically come together and all say this is who we agree is the monarch. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of this stuff going around being like, I think it's King John, right? Is what there's, right? This sounds like Robin Hood. Wasn't it King John? Who was it? It was King.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, Richard, King John, right? This sounds very Robin Hoody. Like, King John's gone, so the bad king's around, and we're waiting for King John to come back. Or is it Richard? And Richard was the bad king?
Richard the Lionhearted, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It sounds very like Peter Pan story-ish to me, Robin Hood, however you want to go. Because everybody's trying to say, oh, there's this King John, and he has taken over the monarch, and the queen's gone right now, and he's doing all these things to give the sovereign land back, right, to all the people and to all this stuff. And then it's the same thing with Trump and the QAnon thing and all that stuff. right? I'm just kind of like, unless you see it actually happening, like this is North Node Gemini, like don't get lost in Sag world and start creating stories and then beliefs and then like, unless it happens, then okay, that happened. You know what I mean? Like, because gosh, people can really fixate their worlds right now into worlds of whether that's fantasy or stories. So that's like they're making their own movies that other people kind of told them are the movie, and everybody's creating to the story themselves. And when you get that many millions of people on a story, it's almost like you don't even know who's really telling the story anymore. Mm-hmm. Like there's no real source, if that makes sense. Like I think Twitter just deleted, 7,000 QAnon Twitter, accounts. So that means what? There's 7,000 Qs?
Well, I think those are the individuals
I don't know,
that are sharing that information from it. I don't think that it's necessarily them. It's they're getting it from one hub, and then those individuals are sharing the information, which they're deeming as false. So, silence of the lambs, playing out right in front of us, huh?
No, I know. Yeah, and I know it's like this is why we like to do full disclosure on High Vibe and not on YouTube, because once you start getting into stuff on YouTube, it gets,
Gets a little hairy.
It gets a little hairy. But to address some people that are in the chat and so forth, like I just want to say this, like I am not somebody to deny anybody, or I think even anybody here. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I don't think anybody at High Vibe is ever here to deny your beliefs or deny whatever that you believe. I am somebody who just likes to question things for fun, to make you actually think and use the astrology. If this was North Node Sag, most people would be questioning things that maybe we didn't need to question so much, right? Like, look at your life in 2012. Like, it was so funny that nobody was questioning 2012, and that was the first thing they should have been questioning. Nobody was questioning the collider, that they were smashing atoms together. No, we should have been questioning that a little bit more. So that's how astrology works, right? When anybody tried to put out a theory about the hydrogen, the Higgs collider, right? Like, oh no, that's not going to do anything bad. The scientists know what they're doing. Yeah, welcome to the new dimension they threw us in. Or, oh, the Mayan calendar really is it's talking about the end of the world, so they go make this big movie, and nobody questions, well, what's the real story of the Mayan calendar and the 2012 alignment? That's what I'm trying to show you all, is we're at a time now to start looking at factual things. So the Mayans had a factual thing. It was like, here's a calendar and it ends here. Then there was scientists who actually made CERN, who made the Higgs collider, that were actually doing the things. So there's things to question with that. But if you start believing right now in things that are not factually to be shown, they're just words that are saying in weird, like, things right now, or even the story of King John, you don't see any of it though. So you've got to question it before you believe it fully. Does that make sense? Or am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy, of course. But
Do you want to put your mic up a little bit, Ann?
Yeah, as a historian, I'm all about looking for facts behind the stories.
Right.
And a lot of things can't be proven, so you don't make the claim. But of course, that's not as fun also. And I mean, there's a long tradition of history being used to support people's feelings in the moment, right? And to help people like William Wallace, right? That whole story helps the Scottish people in their independence movements, or their quest to try to have their own parliament, their own representation. Throughout history, that kind of things come up. So,
but he actually did it. That's the thing, though. It's not like William Wallace actually didn't fight against the English and basically I would call them militia. I don't think the Scottish really had an army, right? It was more like, let's just rally a bunch of people together and
right.
with some sticks. And some
and
of us
the English
have some
didn't
swords.
Really have an army at that point either, though. A really
no, but
trained
they had
one.
armor.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I noticed about it, right? They just had a little bit more of like, okay, they have some really nice armor, and they had more horses, I think, and stuff. They're just a little bit more together.
Yeah.
But they at least, there's something physical there. So somebody also said that he's for sure drunk. Number one, I just celebrated 5 years sober, and I've got Sprite. So, and I'm having a good time just being in character. Like, I'm on my nicotine. I'm not going to lie.
No lies ever.
I'm full disclosure, but I am definitely not drunk. I don't smoke weed. I'm not doing drugs. I'm not.
Oh, that's so sad. You can't wear your fun glasses and your hat.
And people think that you have to be drunk to have a good time.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of sad. But, you know, it is what it is. And especially because they see me with the glasses on. So it's like, you want me to go back to like normal? Like, hi.
Yes, we should be.
Look at my hair. I look like King Richard right now. Like, go tax everybody. Where's my little, what was his little character in the movie? His little snake. Where's my little snake? I'm King Richard. I definitely would not be like King Richard.
Yeah. You
Now,
got to put your crown
cartoon
back
Robin
on.
Hood.
Yeah, the cartoon Robin Hood. I know that Craig, let's get some full disclosure about Craig here. One of his favorite movies.
Robin Hood.
Robin
Prince of
Hood.
Tights.
Kevin
But-
Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. I mean, it changed the face of movies. It led to Waterworld as well. Game changer. You know, so you can't deny Kevin Costner's genius as an actor. And that's just how I feel about it. That's just how I feel about it.
I agree, Craig, but you didn't mention JFK. And my favorite's Field of Dreams, but
Yeah, Field of
Yeah,
Dreams.
Field
is
of Dreams
great.
is good, and baseball is back, thank God. But
Yeah, we're
actually, I
back,
want to make an
baby.
even funnier story. This full disclosure last night. So I'm sitting with Craig. We just finished Deep Astrology, and then we finished my daily. And he's laying here on the ground here with me on the set, and I'm like laying on the set too. And we're just like, oh, what a day. And was it your sister that sent you that text of your like something you wrote when you were a kid?
Yes.
And Craig, his favorite song was, what was it? Was it Kenny Loggins?
Kenny Loggins. I still haven't confirmed as to what year this was.
But
Um,
I don't even remember that song. And then I'm like, it's like a 7-minute song too. And we listened to it and he's like laughing his butt off, right? And I'm laughing with him. And I'm like, you don't remember this song? He's like, I don't even remember this song. He's like, but at least I was ahead of my time.
I remember the album cover.
what was the song again?
It was Kenny Loggins.
Kenny Loggins.
Look at, I gotta fix my crown
The
here.
real thing.
The real thing.
The real thing. And also at this time, if I could have anything in the world, I would have my own bank. So there's that.
I think we all would
There's
agree
that.
with.
I don't know if you guys can see. There's me as a little kid. Oh. Also, she sent me. Y'all have talked about, we've talked about how great I was at swimming, and I peaked athletically at 10 years old. Here's the proof. Little article right here, city record. 8 years old. There's me in the pool right there, champion, baby. The proof is in the pudding, baby. The proof is in the
Yeah.
pudding.
And I've seen the actual evidence. North Node and Gemini, right?
Boom.
On
Tin Cup is
the,
also great
City of
as well.
Irvine website with all the leagues.
Yeah.
And Craig still holds the backstroke record, I think, for
I
the
do.
fastest.
was a
Under
champ.
10 or something.
6 years old.
But to back my family up, not myself, because my brother beat my records. My brother holds more records than Craig.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
That's not possible.
Yes, he does.
No, we looked.
Swimming
I
records?
just looked last week with you, and I'm like, look at, and you didn't want to look. You actually were like, oh, I don't.
I'm
wanna
talking
look.
about
and then I
for-
started giving you times, and they were faster than his
No.
time.
We're gonna have to recount
Yep,
this.
yep. So I got to give props out to my brother, Lyle Palmer.
Lyle, I will race you right now.
Jeff, man, you can't say Lyle. You and Lyle played water polo together and crushed it. So
Yeah, no.
to be honest with you, it's a draw because it's like
Fine, I'll take
you guys
that.
both have the records for Deerfield and Green Tree, which were the best swim teams in Irvine, and Irvine was the best place to swim for the Olympic, for Olympians. So I'm just saying, don't discredit
Oh, simpler times.
the Kings family here.
Simpler time.
Well,
You
what
know what I
about
mean?
the king, who was king in water polo? Not only that,
That's right. I
but
was the captain of the
volleyball,
water polo
right?
team. That's right.
Volleyball.
And I was in CIF 2 years in a row for volleyball. But because people want their questions answered, we're going to finish. Full disclosure, at the beginning, we always kind of go off on a tangent of just disclosing random shit, to be honest with you. But I bought, this is full disclosure. So everybody, I think on their birthday buys something they want. I fell for an infomercial for the 2020 Battle for the White House game. I have not opened it yet. What was interesting to me about this game is the chess pieces are all the people on both sides of the Republican and the Democratic Party. But because they don't know who to put as who's running for the Democratic Party yet, they just gave like 2 podiums, right? And they're like, we will send you whoever it will be. Now I bought this thing. Look at it. It's got a certificate of authenticity. They make you, these people are smart. They make you feel, but I'll be honest, I don't know. 2020 looks like it's going to be a crazy election. But I'm like, you know, like, look, they give you, oh no, is this, no, it's not. This is not a certificate. Oh, this is the, look at this is the chessboard.
Certificate of authenticity.
Certificate of authenticity.
Oh,
I thought that's what they
baby.
told me they were giving me.
Big winner.
Okay, so this is the board game. Oh man, I could make something nicer than that.
We'll have to make a new one.
Oh man. Okay, let's
It's all about the pieces. I'm sure they're going to be platinum.
That's what I'm going for. I was looking for my certificate of authenticity first. Oh wait, there it is.
Perfect.
Printed out a certificate of authenticity. Look at I am.
What's the card stock on there? It's probably, heavy, right?
It's not good. Put it this way. I think it was like $15.
$15 well
Ooh,
spent. That's an investment to your future.
The first. I feel like I'm opening gifts, and it's my own gift. Of course, the red are the Republicans here. So
What are they made out of?
Oh,
Platinum?
it's plastic.
Gold?
That's Trumpy.
So they all have podiums.
Yeah, and then like the pawns are elephants. And then it's so weird. I was laughing in the thing because they have the rook says George H.W. Bush. And the creepiest one I thought was Dick Cheney. I was like, what? Dick Cheney looks scary. I'd be scared to play this game if Dick Cheney was after me. That's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then they have like some of the Supreme Court judges and stuff. But then the Democrats here have, man, they really. Oh my gosh, see this? Empty podiums. Because they don't know who's running. I bought this game a month ago. Biden was already, I don't think he's a nominee because of the DNC. But they have Obama as a rook, and then they have Joe Biden as a rook, which is kind of funny because if Joe Biden really is running, then there's going to be a Joe Biden rook with a Joe Biden king.
Ooh.
Right? And what's even weirder about this is how, you want to know what they made the queen for the Republicans?
Pelosi?
Ooh.
No, it's Republicans.
Oh, for Republicans.
It would definitely not be
Who do you think
Pelosi.
they made the queen?
Laura
Barbara
Bush?
Bush?
I don't know. Melania?
Vice President Pence is the queen. I was like, how do you make a guy the queen? And if you were to make any guy the queen, you'd make Vice President Pence. Oh, he's kind of queenly in a weird way. I'll
That's
never look at
great.
him the same again.
No,
I'll be
never.
like, oh,
Never.
he's-
Well, there's that great meme. I don't know if you've seen it, and it's Trump like in a Cruella DeVille like dress, and he's walking Pence like on a fucking leash, got it wrapped around his neck. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. Shall we jump into some questions now, or what are you thinking? Are we popping off?
what do I do here?
Well, should we get the cake then?
Yeah, we'll get the cake and then we'll go to the questions, I feel.
All right. Oh, give me a minute. You're gonna have to talk to the crowd for a second.
Oh, I can talk to the crowd.
Can you
How
do
about
that?
I'll just play around some questions while you're getting the cake.
There you go.
All right. Question time. And then actually I have to use, but somebody has to rattle me off the high vibe questions too.
I've got them here. Here, let me pull one up real quick. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the collective destiny of the Pluto in Scorpio generation.
Wow, I was just having this convo. The Pluto Scorpio generation is crazy because of the intensity that it has. It's like an atom bomb in many ways. So, like you'll see, the Pluto Scorpio generation, you'll see the instant millionaire who then ODs and dies. That's how careful you have to be. Like, so it's about using the skill of also not feeling like you're not receiving anything. Like, oh, my partner doesn't give me nothing, or the universe doesn't give me nothing, or the government doesn't give me anything, or any of that stuff. Like, you got to get over that, and you got to learn to draw in your power of the things. You have amazing manifesting energy, but you have to learn how to use it, because you're here to change things, but you change it by making it an attractive change. Scorpio is attraction. So the problem with a lot of Pluto Scorpios out there is they don't know how to attract the change. They actually do it in such a defiant, scary way that nobody wants to do it. Okay? Right? Like when you don't make it seductive enough, nobody's going to follow the change. So Pluto Scorpios are getting activated with Uranus now in Taurus to oppose them. It's not an easy transit when Uranus opposes Pluto. I'm a Pluto Libra, so when it was in Aries, trust me, Uranus opposed fucking Pluto. But there's something about that Pluto Scorpio generation that's the most powerful, because you guys have Pluto at its home sign. But with that great power, it's extreme. Like you guys, when it all goes wrong, it's like all or nothing, like, and it can get very emotional. Like, oh God, I can't let it go. I can't let it go. So I would say that about Pluto Scorpio generation. And I think that we don't know what they're going to do yet, because I think they're all going to change their minds with Uranus and Taurus and reevaluate things that they thought were things that needed to be changed, and maybe some other things do, you know? Yep. So, you know. So. Writing in all these chats. Okay, here we go. Are Leo's best time of 2020 come yet? No. What years are we talking about? I mean, the whole Uranus and Taurus transit, so 2018 through like 2025 here. What's the point of corn if it don't even digest? Corn today, corn tomorrow. So if corn today, corn tomorrow, and your digestive system is there, why do you think that they use corn syrup for sugar? It just goes in and out of your body. Some people it doesn't though. For me, it does. So bite that one off and chew on that one for a second. And eat it and let it leave your body. I'm being a Leo meme right now. I would say I am. I'm a life-living Leo meme. Oh, we are coming in hot. Woo!
All right, we're singing happy birthday right now.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to
me.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. As you can tell, we're not singers. Yay!
Birthday to you. I'm popping.
Yay!
All right. I got to make my wish here.
Uh-oh. Yay!
Oh.
Uh-oh.
That's because I added like as many wishes as I could into one wish. It was crazy.
Woo!
I was like, oh yeah, I want
can't
this
do
really
it.
bad. And then it was like, oh, I want that. And then I started to blow.
The silver.
That makes sense.
It's not working. Wait. Okay, ready? I can't do it.
It's not working, Brian.
Sorry.
Well, no,
And you can do it.
Maybe.
All right, you're on live now. You better do it.
All right, it's not working. Who got these crazy things that don't work?
You did.
What?
It's like, look, it says grasp above safety tape with
I'm
left hand.
grasping.
Grasp
Oh,
below
I
safety
had my
tape with right
there.
hand. Twist lower portion in direction of arrows to launch to the right.
All right, ready? Oh,
Boom!
woo!
And
All right.
Maya's got a lot to clean up tomorrow morning. Uh-oh. That's king life.
Ooh.
I ain't cleaning this up. Somebody did.
Oh,
Somebody
they were
did
on the
last
table? And
month,
there's a
sent
knife
me
there,
that gag gift because
On
they
the
didn't
table.
like me. And they sent me those little red confetti penises in that little thing that it looked like it was like going to be some astrology thing I was opening up. And just went,
Yes, on that table, there's a little black plate on the white table. And a knife, too. To cut the cake.
So anyway, if some of the questions could be a little bit more collective and not just about a sun sign, because all these are about sun signs or people's own stuff, and it just isn't cool on this show when we do questions and they're not relatable to everybody, you know? Thank you for all the happy birthdays, everybody. Appreciate it. I would love the ice stuff. What is it? The cactus cooler? Well, yeah, I would love the cake with
Oh, we also have Italian ice.
the cactus cooler Italian ice.
Yes.
Where do you get that, Ann? Where?
I will do a plug for Joe's Italian Ice, and I believe it's in Anaheim. Yeah, it's great. It's really good.
Is it in downtown Disney?
No, it's on Harbor and Chapman, close to Chapman and Harbor in Anaheim.
I know where that is.
Yeah.
Somebody
really
asked
good.
me how much this crown is. You might want to ask my ex-mother-in-law.
It's not as
She's
much as
actually
the
an
crown
amazing
jewels, but
woman, and I thought it was sweet that she got me this crown.
I see someone asked, will we be vaccinated by force? But what is your take on astrologically what's going to happen with vaccinations? Do you see that anywhere in the astrology?
Well, it might be bad timing for anybody trying to force a vaccination, because this would be, look at how they forced lockdowns on people with Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter and Capricorn. By the time it looks like this vaccination would come out, it doesn't look, I think that's going to be the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is like, nope, independent and freedom will reign in areas that I don't think that it would be forced. Somebody asked me if I would take a forced vaccination. No, I would not.
Yeah, not if it's forced, huh? Thank you,
No,
Craig.
because you know what? I'd want to talk to it about, okay, like I'm just going to use Gemini things instead of getting into my beliefs or something. I would want to talk with my general practitioner,
Right.
my doctor, and say, would it be good? I was in the military, so I was already forced with them. I had to go down a row in boot camp, and it was an aisle with 8 nurses, and I got literally, there was 4 of them, but 2 on each, one on each side of my arms, and they just with the guns go, psh, 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 and you just walk down the line. You just get, and then you walk into the last room, and they got a curtain, and then you bend over, and in your butt cheek, they give you like the big shots, you know?
All right, that doesn't sound fun.
No, but so I have all the like crazy military ones in me since when I was in boot camp when I was 18. Maybe that's why I'm crazy, but I have not had any health issues my whole life. So, but I'm also, so that's the whole thing about it is like, to me, and this is a North Node Gemini, I'm not here to trigger anybody. It's not even about whether they're good or bad for you. Everybody's different. Like, right? How come I can drink like 6 Sprites a day for my whole life and I'm fine? My blood works fine. The doctor's always like, you're great. I'm in shape. I don't gain weight. Why is that?
Yeah, why is that? What's the...
That everybody's chart will define things in their health on how they are, what they can do and what they can't do.
And where would people look for
and
that?
not every human being is the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, I think, what a lot of people have problems with in spirituality is like, because they might have a bad experience with something, then they come out to go project it onto the whole community. It's like, no, right? You know, like we're seeing it in a lot of different areas. So it's like, as an astrologer, you just sit there and you realize that some people are going to fall into the, if you're hermetic and you look at old alchemy pictures of Mercury at the top and you see the dark, which is the moon, and the sun, that's the light. Some people are going to go into that shadow spot of like, yeah, you get the shadow of Sprite. Some people are going to go into the light spot where they get the light part of Sprite. It's divine order of life that trumps everything in the world. So, you know, this whole idea that, you know, everybody is the same as far as in their physical body is going to react the same to things is like, you know, you have to, the spiritual community has to get a little bit more reality based in the sense that, like a good example is my brother is allergic to bees, okay? So my brother has to have an EpiPen. If he gets a bee stung, like it's dangerous. Like my brother swells up and has to go to the hospital, so he has to have an EpiPen. I'm a Leo, so bees don't sting me, number one. But I stepped on a dead bee, got stung once in my life. But bees don't sting Leos. I don't know what it is. You know why? Because Jupiter ascending is correct. If you are of the royal bloodline and spiritual line, bees don't sting you. But anyway, I step on a bee. I don't get allergic to it, right? But what's weird is I'm allergic to acne medication, which is like salicylic acid that's in like, I don't know, like back in the day, it was like Clearasil and all that in the 90s. So I would use that, even though I would have like one zit only. And my eyes would puff up so bad I could barely open them. And I would keep using it so it would get so bad to where I would like have these eyes that looked like somebody beat me up. And I'd go to the doctor and be like, well, what did you eat different? What did you change? And then finally we got down to, it was the face washes that I was using, that any salicylic acid I'm allergic to. So, but how many people use face washes with acne medication? In America, I think it was close. Why do you think there was that brand that was forever used on TV? What was that brand name? It was always like the high-end face wash that they would get people to buy. But
Cetaphil, or I can't think.
No. It's not sold at store. It was only sold online.
Oh yeah.
I mean on TV.
No, not Neutrogena.
I'm sure somebody knows.
Somebody might know. It was on TV.
It was in the white bottle. Proactive.
It was like proactive, right?
Yeah.
10 million customers bought that.
Wow.
That company made over $100 million. Okay,
I bought it in high school.
See, Craig bought it. I never did.
It didn't work.
But it didn't work, right? So anyway, but I'm just saying that like, you can't start pushing in anything in life that everybody as one is going to. That's what Aquarius is trying to help you remember, is that in a collective, we are individuals. So we're one, but we're not one, in the sense that there's an individuality that we're experiencing this reality through as a oneness that creates the oneness. So this whole one idea that everybody's the same and everybody's going to be, and so when it comes to health, and so I'm just going to trigger people when it comes to, I'm not going to trigger people. Just when it comes to like health, we all know what we're talking about. Not everybody has to go eat the same thing. Not everybody has to go do the same way. Everybody has a different system that works for them. You got to follow your own thing. What feels divine to you and what God and the universe tells you that feels right. I have found my system that works. Everybody has to find their system that works with themselves and not project it onto others as like, hey, like you have to do this. You know what I mean?
You know, David, thinking about what's good for your body or not, I was looking at your book, your Aleister Crowley book, because it's, you know, a late 19th century book, and I'm interested in it from a historical perspective. So I thought, okay, well, I'll look me up. And I found two things that were just absolutely horrible in there because it was Neptune in the 6th house or something like that. And, you know, that you're susceptible to being poisoned or something like that. So what would astrologers say today? That just
Well, if it was me and I saw Neptune in the 6th house, I'd say that you can be very sensitive and feel when something's off in your digestive system extremely fast. So you know right away what doesn't work and what does work for you food-wise.
Before we get too far, so Anne made this cake that we're eating. Delicious angel cake. And then this is that Italian ice.
Wow, you did a great job.
Phenomenal.
I taste the angel food like extreme.
I got it on my face.
This is my favorite cake. Anne made my favorite cake.
It's so good. It's so
Yay.
good. Once it hits your lips, it's just so good. And you
but
can't
it was
stop.
your grandma who made
Can't
the
stop.
original,
Yes,
right?
my Nana would always make me angel food cake. Very 1950s, right?
I mean, it still holds true.
Am I right?
Yeah.
It's very sweet. The frosting is really sweet.
Is it?
But I'm saying
I
the
think
cake, like, you know,
delicious.
when you eat cake today, it's almost like kind of dull. When you eat angel food cake, it's fluffy. It's got so much flavor, you almost don't need even frosting. It's that good.
That Italian ice cream is just ridiculous.
I know. I'm like, well,
Yeah, I brought you the whole tray.
you brought me the whole.
Whatever.
You brought me the whole
It's
thing.
a quart, I think.
You
Wow.
sure?
How much
Ann?
does a quart of that go for?
$1 million.
I don't know. I sent Maya to go pick it up today.
She gave my.
Poor Maya picks up all the stuff and then she's gonna clean us all up tomorrow.
She doesn't
kidding.
get to enjoy any of
Okay,
it tonight.
let's get
with
to
us.
some questions. I know what the injections were? You can go online and look up boot camp vaccinations. They were
prepare you-
yellow fever, malaria, you know, because once you're in the military, they could send you anywhere. So, like, I don't know, they were all that stuff. It was 2002, so there was no, like, H1N1 yet or any of that stuff. It was mainly that stuff. It was like, I think there was a measles, meningitis, something. I don't know. It was everything that, like, you know, prepare yourself to be out there in the world, like, to where we don't have to worry about you. You know?
So we've got a question about magic with a K.
Yes.
What does I can't read it. What does that mean to you, and how do you use it in your life? This is magic with a K, so don't confuse it with that nonsense that we use today.
Well,
How do you use it? What does it mean to you?
I think that magic with a K is because that's the original actually way that it was spelled in Old English.
That's what I mean.
But it's using the understanding of the elements and nature and art. And that's a very deep subject. But if you understand how that works, alchemy, very alchemical, with spirituality, the divinity. And if you also know how to understand that magic is actually art and the understanding of the human nature and the spiritual nature of the universe combined, that's magic. So, doing astrology, creating a horoscope with your own unique presence, persona, and way of delivering is magic. That also adds art to it. And also is divine with nature and creating a harmony with all the elements because we live in a chaotic universe. And in chaos, what keeps you out of that chaotic universe is the magic. That magic is not a magical thing in the sense that we try to think of it like that Merlin has some wand and he's got some sort of magic that he's throwing fairy dust on things. Magic is keeping you in a world out of chaos and helping you understand the chaos and helping you live through this chaotic universe in a more natural, artistic, and balanced and physically better way. So Yeah, I mean, it goes much deeper than that. You have to read the old magic books, and you would have to look up, a lot of the books are from the like late 1580s into the 1620s. Those are when those books are prime.
When did it kind of change? Is that like something that's noted in history almost?
And
And
I was like, what history? I was getting ready to talk even before you got a chance.
go,
here's your time to shine, Ann.
But you know what's interesting, like to back up about before it changed, what's really interesting is that on our show, we had a comment. Someone asked about John Dee, who was an astrologer for Queen Elizabeth I back in the 16th century.
Right.
And he actually was arrested because he cast the charts of Queen Mary and the Princess Elizabeth before she became queen. And he was thought to be trying to calculate what was going to happen, because there'd be a threat of overthrowing Mary, so that if you took the monarch's chart, you would understand how could you, what was their soft spot? How can you overthrow them? So I think that's interesting. So that's already still in the late 16th century, and in the 17th century, there's still that belief. But I mean, the traditional story, since Craig asked when did it all end, I mean, it's sort of during the time of the Enlightenment when scientific explanations started to come forward more. And also there's a historian who talks about Protestantism, that it caused there to be a decline in magical beliefs. But at the same time, we know about the witch trials, right? And they really had
and
beliefs
demonology
like
being
that.
out there would probably scare people from it,
Yeah.
right? Because that book was a little terrifying.
Right. And it presented it in a scientific way, too. Right. So not only do you have these magical beliefs, or you believe that there could be demons, you're presenting it in a way that looks like fact. So,
Well,
Hey, there's always a little bit of truth in everything.
I was going to say, I mean,
Is
in
there?
the documentary, one of the truths that I thought was ironic was that the term incubus and succubus came from that book.
Yeah.
And that's used in the spiritual community a lot. Like, oh, like she's a succubus, or he's an incubus, you know what I mean? And I think it's funny, it's so funny that like the band Incubus, like people don't even know the name, but like they're like listening to,
I've always wondered about that.
right? It's so weird, right?
They had
Yeah.
some great songs.
Yeah, you were being Incubus.
That's true. I was.
I actually like some Incubus songs a lot, actually. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to put down Incubus, but I was just saying that's really funny that it's a name that, comes from demonology.
Yeah.
I just slammed that cake so fast.
I did too. I've told Angel, well, it's Ann, number one. Number two, it's Ann cooking angel food. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was a fun process. 12 egg whites involved.
Yes.
Really?
Ann, let's hear
Yeah.
the secret family recipe.
Yeah, I don't know whether
divulge
it
it
was.
to the
Because I'm
world.
just loading up my cactus cooler. You might want to show everybody what she's got this Joe Italian Ice for me.
You're gonna have to lift it up. Yeah.
And I'm going to.
Yeah,
myself up.
I've seen you drinking those cactus coolers, and new. Only rarely when you really need that extra sugar boost.
Actually, it was funny. Right when the lockdowns went down, Ann came with Craig and I to the store runs, and I think I had, how much? I had so many sodas, it was like insane. I think I had like 5 Sprite 12 packs, 5 Cactus Cooler 12 packs. And I'm like, you never know, they might never have Cactus Cooler again.
And they may not. That's true.
Oh, I love Cactus Cooler. There's no caffeine in Cactus Cooler.
Yeah.
Same thing with Sprite. All right, go on.
And I had pounds of meat. Meat, it's good. If you eat meat out there, you know what I mean? It's very easy to, because we, there was a little scared that there was going to be a shortage and everything like that. But it's good to, you can just throw that in the freezer, obviously, and just keep on keeping on. You can put down, half a pound a day, and that'll get you through the day if you ever need be. There are nutrients in there as well. So this one is about the Mayan calendar.
Okay.
How do I find out what my real birthday is in accordance with the Mayan calendar? Are there any websites or apps you would recommend?
I mean, there's different versions of the Mayan calendar system to get specific of, like, I guess you could say an archetype based off your birthday. Specific sites, well, I think you'd have to be on High Vibe to see the chart that I did last week. Or no, did we do it free last week? No, we didn't because...
No.
I use the app Kin 3D for the Kin days and understanding like the different... there's a lot in that calendar. But so Kin 3D, and that's the 13 moon lunar cycle calendar. There's also the one that has every 20 days, there is an archetype that you're under. Like I'm a Waib, which is like the only one that's 5 days. And that's like when the Mayans used to say that the weird spirits would come through on those days. And they would like, it's basically kind of like a dark moon energy in a weird way. If I were to give a description, like and that's why the new year and the day of out of time, which is going to be on the 25th this year. So in 2 days. And then you go to the new year, which is on the 26th. It's all in the Waib. And I'm born in that, right? That weird switch of the year and the weird turning of that calendar system. So not only am I weird as a 0 Leo, but I got Waib that I'm in.
You've got lots of weird stuff.
I have,
different
honestly,
or
and
not.
I don't want to toot my horn, but it is my birthday and I'm a Leo. I was born with like, who in the hell is this soul coming in on the planet? Because it's all the oddest stuff. And I already know that though, as I'm sitting here. And if you look at me.
And it should be celebrated. We need more of that.
Yeah. But I think that's the other part too, is like the spiritual community gets really lost in like thinking things are egoic. It's like, no, it's about owning the identity that God divinely gave you the divinity to be and owning that truth of who you are. Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Not ego.
And it's so important for all of us to own it, right? And when you feel comfortable in not necessarily your divinity, because we're not all Leos, right? But when you feel comfortable in who you are and no one can convince you that there's something wrong with who you are, then you're going to be fine. You know, that's what I try to tell my students as well.
Mm-hmm.
I should be continuing to talk here.
No. I think that you bring up a good point, Ann, because I want to say this, that we all have Leo in us. We all have all 12 zodiac signs.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lighter for the cake somewhere because I can't find. Oh wait, no, I found mine.
It's a really big lighter for the cake.
No, I don't care. It's full disclosure. Somebody says, "What does the Leo King want to disclose?" That I will smoke cigarettes on this show. I don't care.
Uh-oh. And Craig, when you get back to the mic, I saw a really good question from Lindsay asking, "What inspired you to shave?" So you got to explain what happened.
I'm going to answer this question from that viewer. What do I really have? What does the Leo King really have to disclose? Mm-hmm. That I have not had a very easy week, and a lot of it I think is due to the shifts we're going through as we are being prepared for this pretty intense round of what 2020 was about, and finally about to get revealed what it's all going to be. 2, it's been very difficult for me because the outlets in the world, I'm an extreme personality, so even on camera, in my personal life, I can be extreme too. And my personal extreme outlets have all been taken away by COVID. So it's been very difficult for me to find new outlets to keep me stimulated, keep me feeling my edge that I like to be on in life. My divorce was very difficult as far as like not only losing the love of my life, but losing a partner and having to like keep a business rolling and keep my own personal life going. And then I left LA when COVID hit because LA went to such an extreme of fear that I didn't want to be there. So it's been a lot of hard changes for me. And it's about showing up every day. It's been very difficult to show up every day, but I do it. And I think that the main thing I do it for is because I keep seeing people living in so much fear. That to me, that's a bigger thing than anything that they're telling us and what will save us right now. Like, that's the mandate from God. Stay out of fear. But everybody's obsessed with these other things that they feel should be mandated. And that's why I show up every day. And that's what drives me every day. But that also, to be honest with you, it did not, I'll be real, it frustrates me, it upsets me. But I have to learn to like let that go myself. And then I have to learn at the same time to realize like this has been part of the Dark's plan for a long time. And that's why light workers are here. And the truth is that lots of light workers have been called up, but they have to get over the fear of showing up fully. Like, who cares about what people will say? Who cares if it's just on a webcam in your bedroom? Who cares whatever it is? Get it out there. Be the light beacon right now, because right now there's a lot of people doing the opposite. They're retreating and they're stepping into their fear and they're afraid, and they wake up every morning and go, is my ear hurts or my throat hurts? Do I have this or and you know, if you're going to live that way every second of your life, like they're doing the slow death on people right now of fear. They're willing to go as long as they want to slowly have your whole soul buy it so bad of fear just itself. Even with things that are real. It doesn't matter. You still have to live without fear. Like, it's not about whether CV is real or not. It is. It's the fact of that, are you afraid of it? Are you afraid to live your truth? Are you afraid to live yourself? Are you afraid of God and not trusting in that God's got your back? And that when you wake up in the morning that you don't need to trip? Those are the things that help me show up every day. And those are the things that I express and use the astrology to help people see. So that would be my deepest full disclosure of kind of like a roundabout of my last year and a half to now, you know? And I think the last thing I would say is that the hardest part for me has been this outlet thing, because I have a lot of extreme outlets. Like, I'm not going to lie. I race cars. I race jet skis. I go out. I like Vegas. I'm a DJ. I DJ at huge clubs with thousands of people. We like do tours. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's been hard in the dating world. Like, I like an extreme love, you know what I mean? And like, that's been hard to find. So it's like, you know, it's very difficult. And a lot of people are blocked. And a lot of people live in like a old Capricornian time. Like, you know what? And I go to bed late and everybody goes to bed early. And I'm having troubles with this world, you know? But I actually last night, and this is no joke, I was on Instagram or IGTV, and it was something that I was like, oh, let me send this to somebody. And I forgot where it was, my live. And I was like, what? It looks all funky. Like the camera looked all weird. And then it ended, and it went to this random Instagram that I don't know of some woman channeling the Pleiadians. And I'm like, okay, that's what I did a lot of. And 2017 was my last Pleiadian channel. And Craig filmed a couple of them with me. But she was saying that this moment was the moment that a lot of the genetic DNA, especially of the light worker, and the embedded codes for a lot of the light workers were being activated, which made a lot of sense to me. But a lot of it was that stay out of the distractions of the world and just keep going within yourself and accept this body and accept this reality, because you feel weird. Because I'll be honest, my whole life I've felt very weird being here. That I've been just accepting being in my body more. I've been accepting being in life more. I've been just accepting it as it is, because I already know that the codes from the universe that were divinely given to me and other people that are out there just have to be activated, and just naturally they will work out themselves. It's almost like if you look at your life, you realize you're not doing anything. You're like naturally being activated into these, when you're in your truth. It's like you really don't do much. You just show up and it just all kind of happens. it's pretty crazy. So.
I wanted to kind of touch on the fear aspect that you're talking about, and we've discussed this multiple full disclosure, and kind of how it dissipated after, for me at least, after I did my past life regression. I never was necessarily like afraid of the whole death aspect and everything like that, but once you do a past life regression, it does kind of open up your mind and open up your emotions, and that realization that there is something more for sure. You know, even if you've always believed it, until you actually experience that. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about, you know, a lot of people have done past life regressions where an individual might just kind of tell them about it. And that, to me, isn't necessarily a true past life regression until you're under that hypnosis, until you're living it yourself, until you're in that experience and you can feel that and you can smell it, and you know individuals that don't look the same, but you tap on that energy frequency. You know that that's someone that you're with in this life. It's mind blowing. It completely opens your mind. So I definitely recommend that to everybody. If you are having any fears about that or any questions, you know, find a practitioner that you trust, because it comes down to that as well. Someone that you can trust, because it is a vulnerable state as well. Have you ever done a past life regression, Anne?
I have not done a past life regression, and I've heard a lot about it from both you and David, and I was just curious as you were talking about it. So you said specifically that it helped you in terms of some fears, right? But what are other benefits from doing a past life regression? What kind of, what has it helped you figure out about your life now?
Yeah, I had done one, I think it was probably like maybe like 3 years or so after my mom had passed away. And she actually was in one of them. Where strange enough, she was my wife and my father was our child. So that took a long time to wrap my head around that, you know. But again, it was that knowing, you know, that it's almost that comfort that it's like, okay, this individual might be gone out of my life in this reality. Because I also think that time is very important. You know, there's a lot of people that kind of say, oh, it's linear, it's this, it's that, you know, but at no point going forward are we going to be living in this consciousness, in this moment with another individual that is living that conscious moment with us too. So I think the time is very important. But at the same time, time goes on, you know, and we're going to experience that again. And individuals are going to come back into our lives that may have left earlier in this life. You know, they're going to reappear. I fully believe that. So that's kind of how it helped me.
Mm-hmm. Someone in the chat mentioned or made a comment about, you know, that you're a Scorpio. And I was just wondering, you know, Scorpios have this mythology around them in a lot of ways, but in particular, the whole intuitive aspect. Do you think that you had a more profound, instantaneous experience with your past life regression because you're a Scorpio, or what do you think?
I don't know necessarily. I definitely think that it has to do with the individual that you're working with. You know, in any modality, in anything, there's going to be other individuals that are more in tune, more tapped in, have more, you know, power from the universe that are going to be able to let you kind of delve deeper into that. So I think it comes down to that. The intuitiveness with the Scorpio sense, I mean, I've always kind of operated on my gut instinct, and at times it's like more like random facts and stuff that I'll like be able to pick, like mileage. Like if I'm driving somewhere, you know, on a road trip, I like to play that game. Like, oh, guess how many miles we are away from this? And I'm for some reason really good at picking out stupid things like that. So yeah,
that's interesting. And I mean, like, I definitely know that you do pick up on a lot. Obviously David does too. So it's really interesting being around you guys. But I noticed also that Robert in the chat mentioned that he's done had past life regressions or maybe memories in dreams. Have either of you had that before?
Davey?
Yes, I just need 1 minute as I'm...
Okay.
The king has lost things.
Uh-oh.
In dreams, I've never been a big dreamer. But when they do come through, they're extremely vivid. For the last like year or so, because I've obviously have this sciatic injury, and so I do use heavy CBD, heavy THC dose to help me sleep, to manage that, which definitely inhibits. I think that anybody that has consumed marijuana or does consume it can kind of vouch for that. That when you're not using it, your dreams become extremely vivid as well compared to when you are using it. So I think that definitely inhibits it, kind of awakens you up during your hours that you're awake, but when you're sleeping, it kind of puts you into like such a deep sleep that you like bypass that almost, or at least for me, and from other individuals that I've talked to. So I've never been a big dreamer though, like maybe waking dreams, visions definitely, so it's more in the waking hours that things kind of come to me and pop into my mind rather than when I'm sleeping. And I'm not the heaviest sleeper, compared to Mr. Palmer over there, who, no joke, has, I think it's called the sonic boom or something like that, and it
Sonic
vibrates.
bomb. Sonic bomb.
Along with an extremely loud siren beeping noise that he completely sleeps through.
With 2 other cell phones going off.
It's mind blowing.
Because I'm still in the 12th house, so knocked out. And to get to this whole past life regression with dreams, my life is nonstop dreaming. It's crazy. Like every time I go to sleep, that's the reason why I don't wake up. I know I'm about to wake up now because of my whole life of being such a big, like literal, like physical, like I go through so many dreams, and I have dream journals that I do that. Literally, that's how you know you're about to wake up, is when it gets so intense, boom, and then you wake up, right? Like, I can now learn in myself in dream state to be aware that I'm dreaming and about to wake up because of the fact that the dream's getting so intense. And for me, past life regression work, I've done, I don't even know, so many hours in the chair, hypnotherapy with, being hypnotized, of course, but through Pam Teague. Hi, Pam, if she's out there.
I still got to go see Pam.
I know, because the last one that I did was right before 2020 in December. It was around Christmas time.
Yeah, and then I got sick right after, so then I couldn't do mine.
Right. And I did 3 hours in the chair that time. And I did visit one past life, but it was a past life that I avoided because I didn't want to go see it in 2014. I've had many sessions. I was like, no. I already had done like an hour and a half of some other lives, and I'm like, no, that one's another military one, and that one. I was like, I don't want to go there. And then Merlin came to me, and I was in a 4th dimensional world, and then I was moving to 5 dimensional worlds. Like, now I'm going into future lives. That's what I started to do, is I started to go into future lives, knowing how to tap into what I'm doing in the future to connect with what I'm doing now and what I did in the past and how they all connect. So when I'm in my dream state, to me, one is I'm like, what is subconsciously going on right now with my life, depending on how my dreams are going. 2, when I'm going through my dream state, I'll be like, I've totally astro, like, I don't even want to say, like, I'd say it's like we all have our own way of putting it. I would say that, like, I have gone to worlds that make no sense from an earthly perspective. Like, I'm like, what in the hell is this blob I'm in, and how am I falling now, like millions of miles into this other blob, and I'm like in this weird planet, and I'm talking to weird beings that I don't even recognize or see, and then wake up, Like, the craziest part about the dream thing is, like, just in the last 2 nights, all on my Instagram inboxes, Facebook inboxes, I had like 400 people dream about me, right? That's the weirdest part about this journey for me, is how many people dream about me. That when I go to bed, I actually know I'm going to work in another realm. Like, it's like, I'm like doing this work in my dream state too. And I'm checked out of reality. My big belief is, and I'm a 12th houser, so it might sound crazy, but when we go to bed and we fall asleep, that's our only way to check out of here and go back home. Most people just go back home. Some of us go home and then go to work. And some nights I go home and just go home. But I would say that 95% of the time, I'm also reflecting in this life how I work so much in my dream world I'm working too. Because I don't know why. There's been literally thousands of people, and I think Craig knows by just reading all the messages, like all these people saying, I had a dream about you, I had a dream about you, you were doing this, you were doing that, you were doing, And it's been like for 8 years for me, I've had thousands and thousands and thousands of people dream about me that I'm like in there with the dreams with them. And so some people are thinking I'm using black magic or I'm using some crazy thing. And it's like, no, I'm not using shit. I'm just like naturally just, I guess, in the dream world. You know what I mean? Like doing some sort of work. Because my dreams are so extreme, I've kept journals of them. And then I would do a journal at a time to where I'd wake up, write the dreams, go through my day, and then write what happened in my day, and there'd be exact connections to what I dreamed about to what happened in the day. So a good example is I had a dream one time that I was at my high school, and I hadn't been by my high school in like 6 or 7 years or something like that. And I'm like, there's no way. I live in Hollywood. Like, I grew up in Orange County. I'm not even going to go to Irvine, and I'm not going to even drive by it. That day, one of my buddies had a problem or something, and he wanted me to see him. And I was like, well, I guess I'll come down. And I had forgot about the dream, right? And I'm just there, and I'm driving, and look over, and there's my fucking high school. So dreams are premonition. And I have to give Rod Suskin a shout out. We did a great interview with him at UAC, and I took his workshop at UAC 2012. But in 2012, he did a lecture about, he's a South African astrologer, but he is actually an African shaman. And he does extreme dream work. And he taught how to cast a chart to understand your dreams based upon when you wake up and you have a dream to understand what it's doing. So it's like a Ori chart, like a Hori chart for your dreams. And I took that class in 2012. It was pretty cool.
Even though I said I don't dream, I actually had a really weird dream because I did run out of my medicine. I had a weird dream that I was golfing with Kim Kardashian 2 nights ago. And it was like the first dream that I could remember that I've had in a very long time. So strange.
That is very strange.
Kimmy
That
K.
is strange. Kim Kardashian is in your dream and you decided to go golfing with her.
I know.
That's funny.
I know. That's all right. I don't know. And it was like really weird. There was an apartment building in front of it, so I like had to go around it. Craziness. But yeah, I shaved to answer that question. Honestly, because I my whole entire life I've always just grown out, whether it was my hair. I mean, obviously I have longer hair now, but I didn't my whole entire life. And I would just grow it out and I would shave it, and that's what I've always done with my beards too. And then my sister actually came and cut Dave's hair. She's actually watching right now. She just texted me. So what up, Jen?
What up, Jen? Thanks for the haircut. Sorry I'm wearing the crown.
I know, right? She's like, I love it.
For my birthday.
And Jen has done my hair too.
Yeah, if any of y'all need a haircut in the LA area, just hit me up.
or if
Chief
you need the
Mojo Rising,
Brazilian
2
hair
E's on
straightening.
Instagram. I'll put you in touch. But no, if I knew that she was coming today, I wouldn't have shaved it all off because I would have had her trim it. And I actually tried to trim it nicely, and it just looked like garbage. So I just cut it all off.
Yeah, but it goes back fast.
Yeah, it grows back fast. You know what I mean? So
Leo
Yeah.
Risings, we grow beards fast.
yeah,
That's
Easy
a Leo
breezy.
Rising thing.
easy breezy. It feels good though.
You know?
It feels good. It reminds me because we grew up swimming and stuff, and Ann, you're a woman, so I'm sure you know how this feels. But when you shave your legs,
Yes.
woo, and then you climb into bed. I don't know who. It was the same thing with my face last night because I hadn't shaved in so long. In swimming, when it comes to the finals, you shave your body, your legs, your arms. They don't necessarily do it now because they have those full body suits. But if you're a man out there watching, when you climb into bed after that first time you shave your legs, your arms, it is a great feeling. Great feeling.
I cannot say that I've done that.
You never shaved for
Nope.
swimming?
Nope, never did that.
He was just that fast. He didn't have to. But me, on the other hand,
That was
I
your
had
secret.
to.
Of course, all of your
And you have
records
my back on
were
that?
before you had hair like that, right? I mean,
well, I wore a cap.
Well, it was interesting because I played water polo, but then I played volleyball. So the swim coach was really pissed at me in high school, my freshman year, that I did not swim. That's what you do. If you're a water polo player, you then you go to swimmer. And I was on swim team from 5 to 18 in the city. So I was like, well, I swim in the summers. So why would I swim all damn
Right.
spring semester and then go to summer swim? And I'm like, that's too much swimming. I want to play another sport. I want to play 3 sports. Like, I don't want to do 2. That's my life. And long story short is I played volleyball, so you don't shave your legs in volleyball. And then in that swimming in Irvine, I mean, it's competitive, but it's not like crazy. So I was like, whatever. And to be honest with you, if you shaved your legs in water polo, you were a weirdo. It was actually, cool to grow as much hair as you could in water polo. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, it's a manly sport, you know, it's like, you'd show your chest hair. You're like, yeah, you know, like, but there was something weird about water polo that like some of the guys like would have like crazy acne on their backs and stuff. And being a water polo player, you have to touch, right? When you're defending and stuff. And I don't know, there was something about me, and I'm not a Virgo, but like, Virgos probably would not do well in fucking water polo, having to put their hands up against dudes' backs with acne all over it. Like that's one of the things that is like the unspoken truth, full disclosures of water polo that is gross.
But isn't that a tactic? I mean, don't you do whatever you can in water polo to...
You just rub some bacon grease on your back just to
and
get some acne.
You grow your nails out.
Did you play any sports, Anne, in high school?
Yeah, Anne, did you play any sports?
Let's hear this. Let's hear the history of Anne.
I did. I was telling David about how I made the volleyball team in middle school. And then I got on the team and was sort of like, this...
You Libra'd it?
Yeah, this isn't very fun. And I quit. I feel so horrible for my poor coach. But yeah, it was a Libra thing. But I always loved to play baseball or softball with my family. But I never went out for sports. Yep, I can't say I didn't letter in anything like you guys, or I don't know whether Craig has the letterman's jacket. I saw David's.
I do somewhere.
But yeah.
I had a tumultuous high school athletic career. I had a lot of things I let myself get distracted by. But, you know, it's okay. I actually had this conversation with my dad like last year because he brought it up. And I think he still gets a little angry that I didn't pursue water polo further. And I'm just like, I knew from the beginning that I didn't want to go to college.
I'm on your dad's side with this one. You know why I like your dad? Because I can actually relate to why your dad, it's not just about the water polo. Like I stayed on swim team from 5 to 18 all the way through.
Yeah,
you didn't do that either, did you?
No.
So there's something about what your dad likes about that because it creates structure in somebody to show up fully all the time. Your dad is still doing softball no matter what. Mm-hmm. It keeps a human being, when you have something to always do constantly, that also in other things allows you to constantly show up because you have that, like, I got to do it. I got to show up to practice. I got to play the game. I got to do this, right? Like, so like, that's why when it comes to my horoscopes, that's my like main sport now. I will not be able to go to sleep if I don't have a horoscope up. That's why it's only been that 1 week that I got whatever this thing is that's going around in February when they didn't have test kits for it, that I didn't do it for that week. That's the only time in 8 years that I haven't had a video up. So that's over 10,000 videos. So like, that's the thing, right? It's like and that's what kept me in high school to stay there. Even though I was ditching classes, I went to volleyball, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to let down my coach, but I didn't care about my teachers because they come out every semester, you know, you're like, never going to see them again. You know what I mean?
You didn't care about your teachers? What?
Well, not in high school.
Yeah.
Let's be honest with you, because I was like, they don't care as much as like your grade school teachers because you're with them every day.
Yeah.
And then they also talk to the other teachers all the time. But in high school, it kind of feels like you can start to see that teachers have lives too, right? When you're in grade school, you think that their life is only about you or something, you know? Right.
Yeah.
But when you get older, you start to realize, oh, they're a human being too, and they probably, you know, went out and had a date last night, or you know what I mean, or they're having problems at home with their husband or their wife, or you know what I mean. Like you start figuring that stuff out when you're in high school. You're like, oh, okay, they're having a bad day, you know. Yeah. So I think that for me, it was like sports. Though the coach is the main varsity coach, you know, and you have to like be on that main varsity coach, whatever sport you're in, as a freshman all the way to you're at last year. Like you have to make sure that coach knows who you are and sees how well you're advancing constantly.
C and T Fred are left going into my senior year. So that was actually one of the main reasons, because I was already like, I'm not going to go to college. I mean, obviously, hindsight, probably should have played. But there, I was like, not going to play, made the decision. But I fully believe that if I did pursue it and I did go to college, that A, looking back on it, you know, that would have been years spent away from my mother that I lost right after that. B, I wouldn't be here with with you guys most likely, because it would have been on a completely different path. I would never have really met you. You know, even though we knew each other, we met because I started working at Rip Curl and moved to Huntington Beach right down the street from you. So that whole thing never would have happened. How we met and how we started hanging out never would have happened.
And I think that's the beautiful part of fate, that it just, things happen, and when we're in the middle of it, it looks chaotic and crazy. But when we look back, it's a perfectly orchestrated story that we're always in.
Yeah.
So even right now, and this goes back to the fear thing that's kind of started this whole combo with Craig, wanting to address it deeper, is what are you all so scared about in life? Or what are we all scared about as a collective in life? When really everything is always perfectly orchestrated if you look back in history and everything. And actually having Ann here as a history professor, she probably sees that more than anybody, that it looked like it was crazy, but somehow it moves through it, right? I mean, what is your thoughts on that, Ann?
You know, a lot of people will talk about history and say that expression, you need to know history because it will repeat again. And it teaches us how to deal with it when it comes back around. But isn't it always funny that it comes back around and we still don't know how to deal with it? And so that's what I think about, is seeing what we can learn from history, how we might be able to do things differently, or how we can see, okay, look, here this comes again. People in authority are trying to tell us this, and we are reacting in this way, or we're not seeing it, right? That all is an important aspect about it. But to me, I think history matters most in people themselves finding the history that resonates the most with them. I think history works really well as sort of a way to find out more about yourself, to find out more about other people who were probably like you at some point in history, so that you don't feel like you are the only person who's ever felt that way. I mean, to me, it's more of a personal, meaningful thing in a personal way. You know, that's one of the instructive things about it. And I like that, you know, it kind of goes along with what you were just talking about. You and Craig had totally different experiences with sports. And now I can come here and see that you are both completely dedicated to what you do, and you show up day in and day out, and you're doing it in different ways. And so it shows that there are so many different paths to get to that place of excellence. And I guess what you guys have in common is you're following your hearts. You're following what is your passion. And it's so important, I think, especially now, for people to realize there's not just one way. I think you were just talking about this. Maybe it was on Deep Astrology, where we all sort of look out and think, oh yeah, we should be going to college, or you need to be married by this age, or doing this particular thing. So if you look back in the past, you'll see people were successful with so many different paths. And we have to remember all the many ways people become the people that they end up being, and people who do important, excellent things, they all get there in different ways. So
I think, you bring up great points about history repeating itself, and it must get really annoying being like, oh my gosh, they didn't figure it out again as you're going through all of your history research. But I think that you bring up great points to where we all have our own unique way of going about things. This age of Aquarius thing, to me, the hard part of any entering into a new age is there's always a lot of chaos. Doesn't matter what age it is. And what the chaos is especially in Aquarius, which you've already been seeing over, I would say, the last 20 years, is criticism over how people should be, right? Because that's actually what Aquarius is. On the dark shadow side, or the chaotic side, because we live in a chaotic universe, going back to the magic with a K that was asked earlier, that the chaos actually is the dark side of whatever age it is. The dark side of the beginning of the age of Pisces was religion, like, and how it would create an institution that would force you need to believe in this, or you're going to die, and will even get inquisitions and kill you, or you have to leave that religion that you've already been in and you must be in this one now, or else basically your life's going to be a living hell. Now in Aquarius, it's everybody needs to live like this. That's where we're at today. But it started with, wow, you're this age and you haven't got a job yet. You still live at home with your family. You still, right? Does that all matter, really? Like, we're all judging people, whether it's through romantic relationships, whether it's through just in general of just humanity and where people are at, even by country. We can label countries third world countries and first world. I don't know. There's parts of me that would rather be in some third world countries right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that there is such a thing. I think that it's much more of like the individuality and the uniqueness of like, if you want to go live more into the way that way of life is, because I think if we throw attachment to identities, to like too much specific identification to things in Aquarius, it gets too critiqued. And I think that that's what's happening, is like everything has to be a certain way. And that's where it's like, no, because that's what creates the individuality and the uniqueness. It's like, I think that what the event we're going through right now in history is going to help humanity, if it really chooses at this chaotic point, to realize that, and let's be real, Craig and I just moved out of LA. We lived in separate places, but we both did. We both felt on our own individually that it just wasn't our vibration at the moment. And it was very weird for me to hear how many actresses, models, actors, TV people, because I'm in connection with a lot of them, left LA to go live back at home with their families during this crisis because they want to be around their families. That's a natural thing. But in LA, if you were to have done that without this event, you're looked at as a failure. Right?
Yeah.
That's the part that right now, anybody, wherever you're at right now in your life, if you're living at home with your mom or your dad or a best friend, or you're sleeping on somebody's couch, or it doesn't matter what it is, right, in life, anything. It could be any situation that right now you think is not part of the general consensus of the way that the world thinks you should be. Let go of that for a second and realize that they're really... And if anybody is criticizing you about that, then those people aren't meant for you and your circle in your life at all. Mm-hmm. Because the truth is that why would you even care? Popularity contests really suck. Because popularity, and that's what social media is, Aquarius. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter how many likes you get on a picture. We already went through that. That was more of last year's ordeals. You know what I mean? People were at like crisis points for that. Have you noticed nobody cares about that anymore?
I need to throw some dislike buttons up on those things too.
Whatever. I actually don't look at You know what's so funny is I don't even ever have looked at dislikes. Is that weird? Like I've never actually... It's funny you bring that up because I'm like, when I look at my YouTube videos, I don't even look at how many likes. I don't even look at how many dislikes. I look at what the people are saying. Mm-hmm. So I go deeper into my own shadow of allowing a negative comment to affect me. And a lot of people, and I'll admit, this is full disclosure, I have a problem. When somebody says something disrespectful or mean or objective about me, I don't look at all the beautiful and nice comments. I only look at those. And then I like try to like intellectually have fun with them and spin them out and trigger them in a way, right? And those people know, one, that's how they know they're going to get to me, because they see the pattern enough in that. And two, that actually is them winning against me. And that's something that I have had to learn, and I've definitely not figured it fully out yet. But, you know, these are the things that I think right now that this event that's going on is allowing us, if we're really going to talk about collective work right now, we all should really be at a place to where it doesn't matter where you're at or how you're going through this thing, but looking as the person is who they are, opposed to their circumstances or how they're living through the world through this. That's the problem, is critiquing or criticism of those things that are making people actually more sicker in not being in their true self. Because then they feel worried out there in the world, like, I'm not on target, I'm still here, or I'm still there, whatever. It's when you embrace and accept that you're at that place and that it's okay to be at that place, and that gives you the strength and the power to move forward to where you want to go next. And it's also the resistance of your friends, society, social media, and all these things that I notice a lot of people, I know they're not doing well in their life when they don't post on social media. They don't put pictures up. They don't put stuff up because that means that they're not confident in themselves to put it out there and be critiqued at that moment in their life. But you have no problem when you're in a confident moment to take a picture and put it up because you feel good. And that's the irony of Aquarius, is it's so easy and it's so smart with people because it knows when people are cold or hot. It knows when people are really cold or hot in their life. And, you know, it's not about criticizing, but it's about having that mental understanding. Like, maybe if I haven't seen somebody post in a long time, maybe I should reach out to them and ask if they're okay. And not criticize them, but let them know, like, hey, I'm just here for you as a friend. I'm just here for you as a person. And whatever it is, I don't judge you, whatever, because we have to get rid of that overall judgment that's going down, especially during these times. There's nothing to judge anymore. We're all just trying to get to having an enjoyable time on this earth now. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's brought it to the point, Capricorn's brought it to the most fundamental points of, you know, restrictions to where, gosh, it reminds you, especially here in Leo, that life is not always going to just be restriction. And that remember to still have fun no matter how restrictive it is. I mean, let's be honest. We're having a great time, but it's not like it has to be at some beach or at some restaurant. You know, there's some people that I talk to where it's like they can't be okay unless it's like they could go do back their old routines. That's why I'm saying I'm having a hard time with my own old routines and habits that and outlets. But it doesn't mean that I'm still not going to go find other ways to have fun. Like, we've never done a show like this before. Why not? And I feel great. It's done something different. And it's helping because I think that at the end of the day, to close this part of it, is that's, I think, the dark side of a new age. And it's Aquarius, which is the 11th house, which is criticism. And it's, and what is the opposite is Leo. And Leo is always criticized. That's the opposition, right? And then Leo is always trying to demand from the people, right? Like, or get attention from the people. So, you know, and it triggers the people. And that's the hard part of this new age. Everybody, you know, even the song, Age of Aquarius. Well, they didn't probably show the background of the music video and recording, that there was probably like, I don't like how you sing that chord so fast. You need to slow it down. I don't like that you're wearing this. We're all wearing blue. Why are you wearing green? You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're about to get into times a million. If you think that right now, and if you're one of the persons supporting this whole, like, everybody needs to live this one way, guess what you're doing? You're creating the chaos more of the Aquarian world that is AI-ish as far as in it's robotic, and it becomes where everybody loses their individuality. And this, sure, we can go into freedom because that's what rules Aquarian energy. But before freedom comes the criticism that comes along with that. People don't lose their freedom. They choose to not be free. Because Anne talked, well, actually, it's our next documentary. But when there was the Civil War, why don't you go into it real quick? Just when Charles was head chopped off as a monarch, and we actually covered it in our first episode, that when finally the people had their own government, that they asked for the monarch back years later because they didn't know how to do it.
Right. I think I've had so many thoughts as you're sitting here talking about it. I think it's, first of all, I want to say it's so important that you are saying all of this and getting another view out there. And one great thing that I love about what you do all the time, David, is you're not afraid to put out the voice of, or the question. And we don't move forward unless we have a question or unless we try something new. So you're talking about the English Civil War. Yes. And in the English Civil War, a monarch was executed. And we'll talk more about it later, and a lot of people are probably familiar with it, but it really came out because there was a huge difference of opinion about how society should be organized and who should be sovereign, where did power come from in society. And it's really similar to a lot of the same questions we are dealing with today. So, and what we think is that you sort of have a revelation and realize, oh, we should all be this way. Let's go be that way. And we don't think about the fact that things change back and forth, right? Nothing ever just happens and instantly, you have a revolution and then you're done and the new thing appears. It's a huge struggle every time a new idea is introduced in society. Mm-hmm. As soon as you introduce that and drop it down, you have to expect all the many reactions people are going to have as they absorb it and think about, is that really how we want to live or not? You have to give people the ability to internalize an idea and to live with it and feel what it's like, because it doesn't work. Whenever there's imposed change, it has never worked, and I can say that in history, that people go back to the old ways that they've always lived, their comforting traditions, just their belief systems. It's really hard. I mean, we see that in our country now. It's very hard to change existing old belief systems. So.
Yeah, and I think that the irony of so if this is the age of Aquarius we're coming into, the counterpart to challenge that is Leo, which is not going to get as much listening to because the age of Aquarius is going to go the way it wants to. But the irony is during the Atlantean age of Leo, and if you understand the age of Atlantis, right, it would have been more Aquarian counterpart that would have been like, hey, we need to make sure there's more diversity going on. And during the age of Leo, it was not like that. It was like, no, we're all fucking going to do whatever the fuck we want and live fully, right? Now it's ironic because we actually are at the point to where we are the most diverse in the world. We are, the universe is everybody is and that's the irony at the point of where there are thoughts and things that are being projected out there that are trying to take away diversity by hyper focusing on individual groups and so forth. And this is what Leo is trying to say, whoa, remember that everybody's here supposed to have a good time, not just everybody hyper focused on one, because it's groups. Whenever you're dealing with Aquarius, it's groups. So now it's Leo's turn to say, hey, did you guys all forget that we're supposed to have a good time? Hey, did you all forget that we are all that we all have the power from God to make our lives great? It's not that this group's getting more than this group and all that stuff, because that's the problem with the Age of Aquarius, is it becomes way too hyper-focused on all this individual groups and how it compares to that group. And that's the weirdness. It's do you think that Mars is complaining to the sun? Why am I not closer to the sun than Venus? Damn girl. You know what I mean? No, that's the divine order from the universe. And so the sun, no matter what the planets say, the sun's going to just always be well, have a nice one. You can leave if you want to, but you can go find what you want there. And I always use this analogy when it comes to the free will people that believe in free will more than fate. Jupiter can't say, I want to be on the other side of the sun for 6 years, right? Jupiter's 12-year cycle. The universe does not naturally go, I want to go do this now. Okay? That's not how the universe works. The universe knows, the planets know, I got to wait 6 years, or Jupiter, I have to wait 6 years to get to the other side of the sun. And so the Aquarian understanding is understanding that maybe there's when you start to put in Aquarius, if it's all one, it's about accepting each group as it is, opposed to saying one group is better than another group. Because in Leo, it's just hey, find the great power of your group and who cares what anybody says, right? But if it's Aquarius, it's listen, we all got to get along and everybody needs the same amount of water. It's the water bearer. And, but it also doesn't stop. So when somebody says, I need more water, the water bearer goes, well, you're now taking the water from the other person that could be up the next person I'm giving water to. And so the problem is right now is too many groups and too many people in the world with Chiron and Aries are feeling victimized in a million different ways. It doesn't matter what it is. And everybody's going, I need more water. And it's not about giving water to the other people in front, because everybody's going to get the same amount of water in Aquarius. Nobody's going to get more attention in Aquarius, because Aquarius does not. It detaches. Aquarius has to learn to detach to make sure that it gives enough water for everybody to get the same amount of water. Not one group getting a bunch of water, and not another group getting a bunch of water. And then a lot of people are projecting that some people are and some people aren't and all that stuff. When if you look at where society has been at up to 2020, it was pretty much there. And there's some force out there that's trying to throw us off, which is the chaos that I say that as in every age, to get the underbelly of the Aquarian age that you're going to experience first. That will help understand and rebalance. And it usually is when people fuck up, because what is Uranus and what is Saturn in Aquarius, right? We fuck up and we're going to have to fix it. And we're going to fuck up society. We're going to fuck up all the way that people live, all to learn the lesson that the whole time, at the very beginning of it all, it was free from the moment it was free. And we all chose to take away our freedoms because we all wanted to be hyper-focused on not being able to detach from the past, which Aquarius does, and detach from everything in a way that we can just see that we can all see people as they are. You can't use law and order for those things either, right? Because Capricorn does that. It's people either get it or they don't. And usually the hard part of Aquarius is it detaches, or even groups detach from people. Like, hey, you're kind of the weirdo. You're like not getting along with everybody. Like, detach. And so this is going to be a hard lesson for people. And people are all excited about this, but I, as a Leo, I said it last night, I'm not excited because, there's something about Leo that we're warm and friendly, and Leo is warm. It's generous. It's like, come into the fucking kingdom. Aquarians are not that way. They are if you're out at a event, like I'm at a conference hall. Nice to meet you. Aquarians are great in that space, but having just like saying, hey, like, can I come in inside your house? No. Aquarians are not ones that just bring people to their homes unless they really know you and all that stuff. Aquarians just don't open up the door, right? So you have to realize that this is not there's no welcome mat with Aquarius. You think it would be, because it's a service-oriented sign, and it's a sign that deals with fixing things, and it's a sign that deals with the service of making sure that people get the water. And so it's like, I don't have time for you, kind of the same way that a waiter or waitress when you're at a restaurant, when you're like, excuse me, it's like in their head, the waiter or the waitress is like, you still have half a glass of Sprite. I'll get to you in a second. These people need to get their food. Right now, that is what is happening in the world, and people are now screaming like little children that they're not getting refilled fast enough when the waiter and the waitresses are busy giving people who don't have any food the stuff that they need to get and creating chaos. Take that one in.
So the Aquariuses then are creating the disruption that we kind of need in order to change by staying in their truth, doing what is their job to do.
Well, that's the irony, is that Aquarians are going through the 12th house transit of all time of Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, and eclipses, and then South Node Saturn and the South Node Jupiter and all that stuff over these last couple of years to remember that they are a rebel. And they're going to go through the biggest test of their lives to return back to being the rebellious one. But the rebellious one is not one that creates chaos. The rebellious one is that goes and innovates, and it shows it, and it doesn't need to do it by creating chaos. The rebellion nature of Aquarius is proper. It's still got Saturn there, so it's got integrity. And it doesn't create this crazy chaotic situations. It innovates in order to make everybody come to the table, because it goes, look at what I did. Look at how unique this is. And everybody shows up because they want to be part of it. It's trendy. How can you make it trendy? But not trendy in a way that, like if you see what's been going on, trends are coming up and down. And how long can a trend last? That's the problem with Aquarius, is it's not everlasting, because it's not the sun. It's the sun is at detriment in Aquarius. You can't stay on an innovation and then stop an innovation. It always needs to keep innovating. So when people get caught up in some of the social issues, because that's what Aquarius deals with and all that stuff, with just taking astrology by the basics, having all these planets in Capricorn right now is the solar 12th house of Aquarius. So the Aquarian energy itself on a global scale is lost in the 12th house. So as somebody, as an astrologer right now, that's why you don't see me getting too much overloaded and not picking a side and not getting too involved with it, because everybody does not really know what's going on in that area. And people are getting 12th housey about it, really crazy about it, right? Like, oh my God, when really it was like, was it really? That's the thing. You have to ask, and you have to allow people to ask that question in themselves and not demand off others. The other thing about Aquarians is Aquarians don't demand shit from anybody. They do the opposite. They pull out in order to make you jump towards them. So any group right now that's demanding you to be a certain way is not Aquarian. It is not thinking of innovation. It is demanding, and it actually has its own needs and wants that it wants. And Aquarius didn't come down here for needs and wants. It came down here to serve humanity. And anybody that's serving humanity would not demand anything from you, and it would give you things for free and with generosity and with excitement and with something that would innovate you, and you would be sold on the innovation enough to do it, opposed to forced.
Could you, do you know a couple of famous Aquarians from history? I'm just wondering, the way that you talk about them, it sounds like they'd be very notable people who do end up creating some innovations and being well known after they're gone, probably. So who are some?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, there's been actually a lot. But I sometimes, because I'm a celebrity astrologer, I like to use current people to help a little bit better, because some people don't know. Yeah. But I can go into some old historical ones. But I always look at Ashton Kutcher as one of the most innovative Aquarians using pop culture. Because when he came out with Punk'd, that was just nobody thought about that, right? Sure, there was jerky boys and like prank calls and all that stuff, but he was, if you notice, here's why I'm saying Aquarians are not being rebels. Where is Ashton Kutcher doing his crazy stuff? He's doing the opposite right now. He's sitting with Mila Kunis at their house, just chilling. I know he helped out. I think he did the 3.5 million masks or something recently for the COVID efforts. So that's an Aquarian thing. But when it comes to the innovation and doing something that's so different, right? It was a big deal. It was wow, he was also a television star that did that 70s show and moved to being an actor and being taken seriously. So he innovated being a TV star and movie star, which only Robin Williams had done. There's only a very selective list of people that did that.
Well, and TV star that was kind of looked at as dumb as well.
Same thing. Robin Williams' show was looked at as kind of Morky, right? What was that show?
Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy, right? But that's the thing, is he jumped to the higher levels and kept going and innovating and doing things that were very unique. Punk'd was a big thing for him. And that's what really kind of got him going. And then he did True Beauty, which I was on. Then he even was the number one actor to be picked to replace the number one actor at the time, Charlie Sheen, when Charlie Sheen was in Tiger Blood days, smoking crack on live streams. They replaced him with Ashton Kutcher. But the irony in that is nobody wanted to watch Ashton Kutcher, because it was almost like you can't replace Charlie Sheen. And so, it's like, I think he's in a place where he's all Aquarians and all social structures are like Aquarians right now, rethinking of how to innovate the systems and re-innovate life and do unique things again. They're kind of in hermit mode. They're kind of in their own place. And so to be very blunt as an astrologer, social structures and constructs right now are nowhere understood or defined at this moment. They are hypothetically in the air. We don't know where they're going to go. And the forcing upon them is going to fail at this moment because it's not the time for those things to find their understanding fully yet. It's okay to present them, but it doesn't mean that you're going to win the battle at this moment. The war might be won, but it's going to take a while. And it doesn't mean to stop doing it. It just means to know. Don't get frustrated because this thing's going to take a minute and it's going to take a while. And it's got to also be refined enough and also innovative enough to where it gets all people involved. And that's something that's the only way Aquarius gets it, you know?
I have seen a lot of things with him though involved in the human trafficking situations that are going on. So maybe there's like a behind the scenes type of situation that with all this coming out, maybe he's gonna pop up again, you know, and kind of shed the light as to what's going on.
I mean, that's the other thing is I've seen a lot of stuff and I'm like, wow, that's crazy, right? Like whether I saw the Wayfair stuff or all that stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, right? And then there's been a lot of other stuff. But that's the other thing is like, we see a lot of things that we feel and we know are true, but we're in a world to where is anything really done about it? These are the things that I'm surprised people aren't on the streets about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying though but that's the irony is it doesn't matter which one is out there or not because this isn't the time where that's going to get figured out. We're in the Capricorn where the restriction over the next 4 months is going to be so strong to finally it will get people to, and especially Aquarians, to be re-innovative again, right? That the pressure's on that hard, that the iron is, the weight of the irons are just so much on the collective right now. It's suppression, right? It's like putting a big fire out, right? Just like with a huge fire blanket. But this fire blanket is like 12 zodiac sign, 12 lead weight anchors that are just going boom. And so it takes all that weight. And right when you think they're going to pull it off, no, they're not. And after that's done so many times through Capricorn, then when it comes to full Aquarius, Jupiter, Saturn, and then when Pluto in 2023 comes, and then it comes back into Capricorn, but then back in 2024, that's when you're going to see these social constructs be understood, when there's enough repression or suppression or just figuring out through restriction that, you know, we'll figure these things out. But when it comes to that stuff, the behind the curtain stuff is Pluto is showing things with Saturn about the systems of control, the higher ups and stuff that are cancel culture-ish. We're seeing the basics with cancel culture, basics. But that's also the irony is should some of these cancer culture things be taking out people that really are not as big as the people who are really doing the bad things. That cancel culture actually at this moment right now is definitely part of the Pluto-Saturn thing. And that cancel culture system at the same time, though, is too hyper focused on the small people that mess up maybe once or twice. When Aquarius is going to come, it's going to be about like, should we have done that to those people? Because then it's actually ironically doing the exact same thing of repression that people are trying to fight against, a freedom. And so these bigger things that we see are just glimpses with Pluto that is revealing, but Pluto's not done with his transit yet. Pluto is still under the control of Saturn, who, let's be real, if you're a higher up and all this stuff's being revealed like Pluto's doing, Saturn's got control in his house where he's like, no, we have control. But when Saturn comes into Aquarius with Jupiter, they're both going to go, oh, well, let's figure it out more. But you have to realize that Saturn's still in its home sign and Saturn likes control and it wants to control the narrative still. It's not till Saturn enters Pisces when I think we're going to see that there was actually the biggest manipulation of the media that we ever saw in our lives, especially with Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces. And I think that that's going to be what it was all about, was the control of how the media really spun everything. And that's going to be the moment when people really start to realize the things that maybe they shouldn't have done to other people based off things that were way more projected upon to them to be a certain way that really weren't. So I think there's a danger of cancel culture, not in every case, but in a lot of cases of just common folk like you or I or anybody watching that might mess up in a minute and their whole lives are canceled because of the fact that it doesn't go on with this narrative that's being projected by a system of Oz that literally is going to be proven to have done the biggest detrimental damage since 2015 through 2024 and 2025.
Such an uplifting topic for your birthday.
Oh, I love it. I mean, honestly, my favorite thing to do in life, and it's funny that my birthday gift to myself is a chessboard.
Yeah.
I love to talk history, the universe, and play chess and hit my vape and just talk.
Yeah.
There's nothing in my life that's more exciting than that as far as comfort to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to be linking you up with a new chess partner tomorrow when I go see my physical therapist. So
You need to tell me where he plays chess.
yeah, he plays chess. I found that
Like
out.
online, like what? Because I used to play
That's
on
I'm
Yahoo.
gonna have to find it out. I forgot what he said. He was actually he asked me if I played chess randomly, and I said I do not, but my buddy that I work with does. So you guys should link up. And by the way,
So let's finish here with some more questions from the peeps.
got a question here, and I think that it applies because it kind of reminded me a little bit of what you're talking about. Any advice that you could give in regarding finding your path, career, and life? I love the spiritual side of who I am, but I'm not sure if that's the right choice to make career out of it. I quit my job 5 years ago, mid-quarantine, due to being tied up. What was it? I meditate on it. I asked my guides for help with finding my path, but was just curious if you guys had any input. No, I think, yes, you have to put it out into the universe what you want. Yes, but you can't just sit and meditate on it. Now, I don't want to say that you're just sitting and not putting any action towards it, but if you're just sitting there, we've talked about it before, if you're just sitting there and hoping that the love of your life is going to come there, but you're just sitting on your couch, they're not just going to bust through your door and just going to be there. No, I fully believe that you have to kind of test yourself by throwing yourself in the fire, put yourself into situations. If you show the universe that you want to put in that effort, that you want to put in the work, whether it is where you're trying this, because you might go try a situation because you think that's right, and the universe is going to say, no, that's not, but you should be going through door B over here, door number 2, whatever it is. And then they're going to present opportunities. But if you're just sitting there putting it out in the universe, and I want this and I want that, but you're not actually putting any intentions to it, you're not actually putting your physical energy towards it, I don't think that it's going to show up. I don't. I think that there's a big thing about going out and getting what you want in this life and making it happen for yourself. And yeah, you're not going to succeed every single time. Most likely you're going to fail at least once, maybe even twice. But it's going to open, you're going to learn from that. You're going to be able to take those lessons and learn from it and actually figure out what it is that you want. But just sitting there wanting and hoping, I don't think that it's just going to come for you. I think that you need to actually put some physical action to going and achieving what it is. And you're not going to know exactly what that is, but just go and start finding little aspects of what you want to apply to your life, and everything else will start kind of unraveling and coming to you as you go along.
Yeah, I think Craig brings it up about the action part great, because Capricorn is where Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter is. It deals with career. And there's something about jobs that are, the number one thing is responsibility. So when you have no responsibility in life, there's no purpose to things. So when people go to create like a helicopter, there's a purpose for it. They create a light bulb, it's a purpose for it. There's a purpose for this balloon even, right? For somebody's birthday, it's built. That everything in life from the universe has a purpose. There's not one thing on this planet that's created that didn't have a purpose. Some of them might be bad purposes. Some of them might be all good. Some of them might be kind of boring and mundane. But for you to find your career, you have to understand that you have to actually hold the responsibility of the purpose in which you're doing. So a job is holding a responsibility to do the job for that company. If you don't want to do that, then you got to find what your purpose is by actually being in the trail of life. So it's the yellow brick road because it's a mystical sea goat. And Dorothy finds her friends, but what she realizes subconsciously, that movie is not friends, but her own fears of when her house got dropped in a place that she didn't know what to do. She did not have courage. She did not have a brain. She did not have the ability to have these things that she didn't think about. That's why they all showed up in her life. She was terrified. That's why the scarecrow was there too. And all of them together end up to Oz to realize it was all fake. Even the witches, all that stuff was all this big show and dance. Because when they go behind together and they all see that the great Oz is this little person who is actually a really nice guy, but also at the same time, you got to look at him and be like, what a piece of crap. That you must in your life get over your fears and your courage, and you must remember that in order to be successful, you must hold hard responsibilities. And you have to look at life. You know, I just posted on a story last night from Time Investors is most people look at the weekend like, what's my Saturday? What's my Sunday? The people who make $1 million or more in their life work 7 days a week until they get there. Like, there's no, okay, I'm going to take a break and take time off, and you know what I mean? So it depends on, and there's nothing wrong with if you don't want to be that. But like, if you want to be successful at whatever you be at, you have to be willing to go, especially if you get a new job because you're starting at the bottom. That's the other part of that Capricorn is its hierarchy. There's levels. Are you a CEO of the company, or or the owner? Is it just like an LLC, or is there management? Where are you at on the level? If you start at the bottom and you don't show that you want to hold responsibility and you want to take time off and you want to make the schedule yourself, and guess what? The top of the ladder is going to be like, no, get rid of this. This person's not working out. And that doesn't matter if it's socialistic, communistic, or anything. Because people will say, gosh, you sound so capitalistic. It's like, okay, if you were in a communism, if we were in China right now and you were in a slave camp building Nike shoes, which they're doing right now, guess what? There's somebody still in charge inside that Nike sweatshop that is looking at all the people and going, who's not holding the responsibility of making 18 shoes an hour? You made 12? You know what? I don't want you here anymore. And then who knows where they send them to? That it doesn't matter what we live through in life. Saturn wants responsibility in order to make anything successful in life. Relationships, your own happiness, a pet that you take on takes a lot of responsibility. Having a child. Like, these are things that, like, if you're having issues with jobs, if you're having issues about jobs, you have issues with responsibility. I'm just going to call you out. You have issues with responsibility. It's not about because, well, I didn't like the job or the people there were bad or da-da-da. Responsibility. That's the place that you need to look at. Where's your issues with responsibility?
I
Anne?
think something. Oh, sorry, Craig.
No.
Did you want to talk? I was going to say that you brought up the post that you put up on who becomes a millionaire, right?
That was between you and I.
Okay, we just talked about that, right? And one of the things is, right, it's not just the responsibility and doing it day in and day out and having so many hours of doing it, but I think that what probably a Leo like yourself could teach us is to follow what you most love, right? Or to know, to be aware of where do I see myself, and get yourself into that place. And then it becomes more, I don't know whether it's joyful all the time, because I've definitely had some bad jobs, but it becomes more enriching to do that little job when you're in some place that resonates with who you are. And that's why I feel that's so important to to know your own truth and what it is that you really want to do. Get there, and then working is more something that you don't want to go away from on the weekends, right? It's
Right.
who you are, and you're doing the responsible thing in while you're pursuing your joy, right? Pursuing your passion. And I think that's something that you've definitely done to take you through your career all the way back to even going into the military, and which was what you really felt that you wanted to do, right? And then you
Yeah.
found out, well, this doesn't quite work for me, so I'm going to...
But I took the responsibility of taking the recourse that it was going to take to get out and go to prison and do it and do all the things that I had to do to get out. And literally the week after I got out of the military, I got a job, and I stayed there, and I became the manager within 1 month. And I'm still best friends with the owner. He just, and his wife and all the people from that job. And I got that job in 2004. That, and I think that the problem is, and especially the spiritual community, like they keep thinking that, oh, I got to deal with this spiritual moment in my life first before I can go do anything. But that's the irony. The mystical sea goat connects to Pisces. That responsibility is spiritual, but you also have the responsibility to be part of this reality too. That you just can't go 12th house it and just go be like, I'm dealing with too many things in my emotions and spiritually and stuff. The whole time I had panic disorder, the whole time I had anxiety disorder, the whole time I had agoraphobia, I was still showing up and doing my videos. I found a way to fucking do it. It sucked. And you know what? I always use Stephen Hawking as the best analogy. A paraplegic who literally could not move, but found a way to still find a way to talk through not typing, through creating his own program and still researching the universe, and was looked at as the #1 person to look at for understanding the universe. Couldn't walk, didn't even feel that he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that really, Capricorn there is no excuse. Like that people make up excuses, and that's the responsibility, is people don't want to take responsibility, so they make excuses. And that's the hard part of the mystical sea goat, is the only way to make it in this world is that you have to do the spiritual thing, but still also realize that there's responsibilities in life, and that you can't put it on other people either, because that's what Aquarius is next. If you put it on the people too much to take care of you in the tribe, it's for moments, but not the whole time. Because even in Rod Suskin, we did that talk. He's an actual African shaman in Africa that actually really is a tribal African shaman, and who works with tribes. Like, you know what? If somebody has a disability or something like that, like we find a job for them, they do. And it's not about like taking care of them like how we think in Western society. We integrate them. And so people feel like, well, society doesn't allow me to integrate because of my little issues. It's like, you need to find a way to integrate into reality with your issues and get over some of them and work through them, because life is survival. That's what Scorpio teaches. So if you don't have the passion, you don't have the responsibility, and you don't understand that spirituality is not just bailing out on responsibility and passion, then how are you ever going to get where you're going to go? I mean, how are you going to do anything? That the #1 issue I see with people in their charts when I look at them is they're dealing with those issues. Responsibility, 8th house issues, and they might be addicted to sex. They might be addicted to something, or they might be addicted to being a failure, or they might be addicted to being that there's something that's in front of them that's really not, and that's hard because, like, I'm speaking being born with Jupiter in Capricorn, that my understanding of Capricorn is pretty thorough. But that's the hard part about Jupiter, is because it's only forced with responsibility. And Sag wants to do a million things. But in my life, I've learned that I'm only can really be successful if I pick a path and I stick to it and I stay responsible to it, and then I'll get good luck and fortune. I don't get I didn't get the help from the fam. I didn't get all that stuff. I didn't, it's like I just fucking showed up and fucking had the responsibility. And even when I was homeless or when I was on Venice Beach doing readings, like, guess what? Like, it fucking sucked. Not only was it embarrassing, but it had I didn't, my car would barely start. I would put starter fluid that was in the trunk. You know what I mean? Like, so when somebody goes, my car's not working, it's like, oh, what, the tire's flat? Or, you know, like what responsibility is like, okay, well then you need to figure it out. You got to get the car fixed, or you got to get a ride, or you got to take the bus, or you got to do something. Like, everybody in this world has gotten very sensitive because and that's the whole social construct aspect of the age of Aquarius, is that too many people are trying to point themselves out as their unique individualism is more relevant than anybody else of why they can't do certain things. When that's not true. Because then that's hyper-focusing the whole collective on that one person or that one group as being stigmatized as some sort of way. Because like, I'm an astrologer. We're the most stigmatized people. But do you see me letting that stop me from being an astrologer?
No, definitely not.
So
I heard about this last night when I was driving home after, I don't know if either of you two have heard about it, but the ornithopter, which Leonardo da Vinci sketched these planes 500 years ago. They just built it. The the flying machine that has the flapping wings. Leonardo da Vinci's design. They've been trying to replicate it for the last 500 years.
Really?
Apparently, they just designed it, and it So they say that it can. Flapping wing aircraft, but it can dive and it can hover and it can shoot the air, darting, diving, recovering like bird-like instincts. And it says it uses 40% less electrical power than its propeller-driven equivalents. So any of the drones and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, they just
Where
came
did
out with
they
that.
do that?
What was that?
Where did they build that?
That's a good question. I'm just on. I just Googled it real quick, and so I'm on CNN right now. It doesn't say. It just says engineers. Yeah, engineers have designed flapping wing robot.
Wow.
Yeah. Fun fact
Sounds
for
like
the day.
fun. So there's an innovator who
that's
really
yeah,
changed
that's
things.
straight up innovation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, you know, in the middle of an innovative world that we're going through, there's excitement of, let's say you're on a project like building like that project, or let's say we're building a way to figure out how to make fusion energy right now or something, right? There's always the excitement of, no, this looks like it's the way. But the thing about Aquarius is the unpredictability is it's always going to be something that the last minute that figures it out. Because you always get to a place where you're like, gosh, darn it, can't figure this out. That's when you have to take another look, another perspective, another angle to it. Sometimes you have to detach from it for just a second and then go back in, right? You have to emotionally detach, because that's, Aquarius teaches innovation only happens when you emotionally disconnect. Because that's the problem with responsibilities comes innovation afterwards. That you might have a responsibility, but are you going to do something with that responsibility? That's great. You got to own that responsibility, and you must be not emotionally attached to it in such a way to where you get so frustrated by it not going exactly to plan. Like, it's going to take moments of, let me look at this from a different angle. And it's when you get frustrated and when you get pissed and when you force something too hard that it all breaks in your face. That's why you see in the laboratory just, oh, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or when I'm working on motors, I've definitely over-torqued. I just over-torqued something the other day and broke a nut off, you know? And it's just like, I knew it was 115 pounds and I put it to 116, 117 just because I thought I would bring in it a little bit more, but it says in the manual 115 and there I am. So,
That's not like you.
That's, I know. Well,
Not at all.
I know. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's my Mars in Scorpio though, but like, that's the thing. And I think that with innovation, you know, it takes and I think these are the hard times for people, is people are so emotionally blocked, one, but they're actually hyper focused emotionally on situations that don't innovate their life at all.
We have 1 minute left of your birthday.
What?
1
It
minute.
can't be possible that it's almost
I'm actually
done.
happy. Birthdays I used to love, I guess, when I was younger, but now I think that especially under this world, where you're shamed if you do have a birthday party and you're 6 feet around somebody, like you're shamed. And nobody's thinking about this, the constructs of our humanness during these times and how detrimental. There was a story, and if I'm on the last 30 seconds of my birthday, I thought it was going to be a story about some man and his 16-year-old son died of COVID. That's how he put it. But it was a story about how his son had played Fortnite, this video game, all the time. And he got really upset one day and he punched his screen, right? And it was during the beginning of the lockdowns. And so his dad was like, I got to teach him, we're not going to get you a new screen. Grandpa tried to fix it, but couldn't because these new LCD screens, can't. So they said, well, we'll give you a second chance. If you do all your chores and you work really hard for a month, we'll get you a new screen. So the kid did it, all this stuff, got the new screen. Everything was going great. Then it was like around May, I think, when everything was starting to calm down a little bit into June. And so they finally were able to see Grandpa because Grandpa needed to come help with the sewage at their house because they have like a septic tank or whatever where they live. And had a great day and everything. And it was the kid's birthday the next day. And he said, I'm going to go up to my room. And
The kid?
The kid. And then the grandpa left and dad was downstairs and he didn't hear from his child for I think actually the kid's younger, like 13, sorry, not 16. And he went up to his room and found his kid hung himself in the closet. And freaked out, of course, but looked at the screen and he had hit the screen again.
Oh.
But the main thing was, and what he was saying was that he didn't have any other place to get it out. He was always doing sports or around other kids or doing all these things. And that's all he had. That's all he had. He didn't have his friends anymore. He didn't have anything. And so he played the game all the time because there was nothing left to do. And he died because he didn't want to live through the shame of because that's all he had, to mess up again. Right? So that comes to the beginning of this whole thing is shaming. So his dad feels even bad for that, not really understanding the constructs of the time and what was going on. Those are the events that right now are happening all throughout the world that we're not talking about, that the news ain't covering either.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a tragic story, and there's a lot of tragic stories out there. But the humanness and the things that are happening to us without all these outlets. I mean, I can say I've been through a birthday through a pandemic now, and you know what? In California, we're on a lockdown here again in the middle of the summer. And I can tell you that it's not a fun feeling. It's not a fun feeling to where I avoided my mom and said, you know what? I don't want to have a party. And she was going to have a party for me at her house. I don't want to be shamed. I don't want to have people on my network think that I'm a bad person because I went and saw my mom. I don't want people on YouTube. I don't want the government coming after me as a public personality because I'm going to go see my mom. And then now that hurt my mom, who just lost her mom. So people don't realize what this thing's doing in every form and matter, that there is way more darkness going on. And that's one thing that I would like to light up tonight to finish this show, is when you start shaming people about the most basic things that you're just reading in the media, why don't you start looking at how it affects everybody else too in their lives, that this thing is affecting people deeply in other areas before you start going against your fellow human beings here. Like you have the option right now in your life to stay away from every human being if you want to. So shaming people right now is a bad thing. And I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm asking people to look, though, at a wider scope. What's going to be worse at the end of this whole thing? What's going to be worse? Because when there's kids hanging themselves more than ever, and that's the other thing is the suicide rate stuff. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. And that's already been a high number. And the millions of deaths from opioid abuse over the last couple years alone, millions of deaths in America. But that's not talked about or looked upon. And that story of that dad with that kid really got me. And it makes sense on my birthday right now, because I'll be honest, it was depressing. I was not happy at all last night, and I wasn't happy today all day until this moment. Because, one, people are already weird about going to hang out with you because of this thing. Two, the people who do ask me to hang out, it's like, I'm going to be shamed upon if I take a picture or if people find out, and if I go see my mom, or, you know what I mean? Like, I literally have, and I'm not trying to pick out a side, but it's liberals who literally text me, and I'm not either side, who tell me what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing and all this crazy stuff based off what I do on the channel, what I say to what I do. And if I'm afraid now, and this is where I have to have Leo courage just to even speak this truth. This is full disclosure. And maybe we don't even have to use the term liberal. But people who are so fear-based in this whole thing of this illusion stuff that's going on, to really get so crazy on people and how they should be living their lives, about what their actions they're taking in their life and what they're doing. That, it's hard. And it's the number one thing against the light work. That I think that's why I keep saying that a lot of the light workers don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. I'm not calling all of them out, but a lot of people who say they're light workers right now tend to be leaning on the side of they bought the spell, and they're shaming people, and they're shaming tons of people all day because they have nothing else to do. And they're finding light in that when they're actually in the dark. That's perspective of the Luciferian light, which is false light. And it's been hard. It's been hard, especially since I have celebrities that follow me, and they tend to have to be a certain way because of they can't have a job unless they say exactly what the media says. That's truth, and that's full disclosure. I have people that follow me that are in the media that if they were to share this video, if they were to share some alternative thought process, that a studio, a production company or something won't hire them. And that's why High Vibe was built, and that's why I always built everything on my own, and I never gave in to ever taking a show or ever taking anything that would do something that was against my soul core beliefs and who I am as a soul. That I don't rely on that system. I don't rely on the Hollywood system. We have our own studio here that we can put this out there to people, and we can put this out and be our own way. And that is something that they're afraid to do. And I'm going to call all the celebrities out in the world right now today, that if you're really a star, can you be a star on your own? Or are you really a star only because you have so many cords attached to so many people that you think are so high up and so spectacular, yet you can't be anything that you want to say or be, because if you do, then you won't get the job. So why do you think that the whole media says the same story everywhere? Because if they say something different, hey, you're out of here. You have a different thought process, get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood's been doing the black book for quite some time. If you don't think like them, then you're out.
It's scary. And it's scary that these people also are calling themselves light workers. Because a light worker means that you find it on your own and you're willing to lose it all for the truth. But won't admit it. Won't admit the truth. Will hide behind and will say, and you know what? I forgot who said this. And I want to end with this. That, who was it? It was Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson said on this one talk, I think he was in America or maybe he was in Canada for it, but it's an older talk. And because he is a professor, and actually this would be an interesting thing for Ann to hear about being at a university, that there's also those lines in universities where, you can't have certain different thought processes, or you can't say certain things because maybe it might go against it all. And so he was doing that, but it always felt wrong inside to him. He says that undeniable truth is like to where it like enlivens you and you don't feel dead and you don't feel almost like, inside that you just don't, I don't want, like, it doesn't give you, like, truth gives you life. But saying things that are having to be said because if you do say it, you're afraid to see what happens is anything but, and it won't manifest anything. And all it is manifesting you to stay in the same space and continue at the same space. And a lot of people are afraid to advance and innovate in life. They have to be willing to always speak truth. And so, I think it'd be interesting because in the university system, there are a lot of things, and Timothy Leary went through it. Ram Dass went through, I don't think he was, I think Ram Dass was more out of the elite Harvard thing, but Timothy Leary was. And that's why he was my hero. People always ask, who is my hero? And it's been Timothy Leary since day one. That he was the first professor in American history to be kicked out, number one, of Harvard, even though they try to say now that he wasn't kicked out in documentaries. But if you look at the the chair board's meeting that they had with him, they were not happy with him and everything. And then the other university, or the other colleague that he was working with got kicked out, and so did he. And he lived in his truth, and he didn't stop. And he created a revolution of waking people up around the world that is one of the biggest kickstarters of the 60s love movement and the true hippie movement. And that guy faced massive times where he could have been in prison for the rest of his life and actually did not. And he was fine. And even Yoko Ono and John Lennon wrote a song for him. And he was there. Anytime you go against your truth, you don't get shit. You're dead, energetically. And so why do you think you're not seeing a lot of celebrities right now? Because they're too afraid to say anything because they don't know what their job's going to be tomorrow when all this kicks back on, or so they think. Instead of the ones that do and are willing to risk if they lose or not lose, because the universe will open up the right doors for them and actually create a bigger movement than they realize. I don't know if anybody has any interjections into that, but
I mean, I think you hit it on. I just wanted to, everyone out there that's just experiencing this for the first time, this is just the tip of the iceberg as to what we normally discuss and divulge here on Full Disclosure. And we all hope that you enjoy this time, and we appreciate it. And we're so grateful to have you here with us.
Yeah,
Mr.
Ann.
Palmer and Ann.
Well, I was going to say it's
I was
you
speaking
two.
for Ann.
Usually.
I was speaking for Ann, but no, it was great having Ann here as well.
Well, I feel privileged to have been allowed to sit in on Full Disclosure, and I learned a lot, and wow, it was so profound. I think, this is a great way to spend a birthday for you. It's a great way to celebrate you, to hear your thoughts on your true thoughts, to hear your truth, right? And a lot of that just hit home. I mean, I have a 14-year-old son, and
He's going to succeed. He's going to do great things.
Yes, he will. But I do. I mean, I worry about how we're shaming people in general. I'm horrified by that. There are so many better ways to communicate, right? We don't need to act like 17th century Puritans and shame people and put them in the public stockades. And, it's kind of the same thing.
I know, and that's scary. Because a lot of people like to look at the 19th or the 20th century communistic, socialistic dictatorships of the World War II era and the camps that were created. The Russians created camps too, of people who didn't conform to being communist. So, and they killed more people actually. But as Anne just brought up in the past, like, what's kind of scary is the record keeping was a lot different then.
Yeah.
We don't even know what the real numbers are like. We don't even know how much deeper than broader that went as scope, and how many people abused power in that kind of way. And this is a time for people to realize, to wake up, that there are people that want to abuse power. There are people who act like they have power in these places of these control places that they think they do. And it's more of the illusion. Control is the illusion, the greatest illusion of all time. That you are the one that falls for control, not that you are controlled.
And there's some people that I saw throughout it. So Anne has been working with us for the last year or so.
Say like a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half, and behind the scenes, keeping us sane and helping us out on projects behind the scenes. And yeah, we're so happy to. Well, she and I actually did a podcast last month, so that's up there on High Vibe, where she kind of gets back into a little bit more about her life and what she does and everything like that. But y'all will definitely be seeing more of her in this near future. So it was very nice to kind of reintroduce you to everybody. I know obviously you did the video History in the Stars, which that she did with David, and there's going to be a new series coming
and that's
out,
on
a
YouTube
new
as
episode
well.
coming out here soon. Yeah, so yeah, you'll be seeing more of her.
And I would say that with Anne too, you know, she started to just as a volunteer that wanted to help. And that was I'm not one to take help well. And so Anne has changed me as a soul for ways that nobody else has. I've had thousands of people ask to volunteer, but there was something about, I don't know, maybe it was God, the universe, that finally at that moment I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And I remember I wouldn't give her any duties because I don't like volunteers. That's scary. I don't know. You know, people think Leos are tyrants or something. Trust me, we don't like to give orders. We're bad at it. We're really bad at it. So I didn't really know what to do, but it kind of all finally found its natural form with not only doing the docu-series about history, but also Anne is working for High Vibe too now. So, woo, it's exciting.
It is exciting.
You know.
Hey, so there's a possibility that we might be more on a set schedule, so you guys might be able to plan a little thing. We're gonna be trying to kind of hone in, so it's not gonna be necessarily a guessing game as to when we're gonna be going live. So that's Anne's gonna be. She's gonna be cracking down on us.
Well,
I'll try.
Anne is one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life, and she is somebody who you truly are, Anne. Somebody you're purely. You're the most humble, loving, caring, and knowledgeable and easygoing people I've ever met. But you're so smart and you have so much that you can do that just blows my mind. It just is like, I don't know, you're a living example of what I would say a true high vibe person would be. And I've only said that about certain people. Like I think Tamara I said that about as well. Mm-hmm. And I would put you in that same category. I think that Craig and I are on the journey of high vibe. That's what's ironic about the show. No. Of all the shows, that it's almost like we're not fully there yet. We're figuring it out with the other people.
Always.
But I would say that there's very few people in the world that I've met in my life, of course, that are in my world that I can say I throw in that category, and it's you and Tamara that have been part of this journey that I would say embody that energy the best of anybody.
Wow. Well, that is high praise coming from you, who I think is a high vibe person. I don't know about Craig over there.
Oh, all right. See how it is.
But and to be put in a category with Tamara Jean, I mean, that is high praise. So thank you, and it's been fun and a transformative experience to be here.
Oh yeah,
Anne's a Libra, by the way.
Why are you
People
pointing
were
that
asking
out?
what you're. People were curious.
Oh.
They were
I'm
curious.
just like,
They
why is
wanted
the
to
Scorpio pointing
know.
that out? I'm a little bit worried.
but and then just even tonight, I want to thank you, Anne and Craig, for both putting this on, and Anne by making this beautiful cake, which I'm going to go eat more of right now, and by bringing this delicious cactus cooler ice that is just amazing, and by just going that extra mile, the glasses, the confetti, and all that. If people only knew all the background stuff that for over a year and a half Anne has actually done, that sometimes there's been small pieces, sometimes there's been the biggest pieces, but it doesn't matter because it's all been a part of how this all comes together. And now there's even more that's being activated by her that I believe is going to change High Vibe forever. You guys are all going to be surprised in the next 2 weeks, just with some secret things that we are doing behind the back of not only the website to a lot of other things and additions to it, and things that I have just signed off on in the last 2 days. And that's kind of my birthday gift to people, though. I said this year that I was giving my birthday gift back to people, back by me just saying my truth, and also by me investing more in High Vibe and the people in High Vibe, and doing more for people on High Vibe, and more for you even out there on YouTube who don't feel like joining, and that's fine. But it's that to me is the ultimate birthday gift. And I just appreciate all you, and I appreciate all you that watch, and I appreciate the long journey it's been, and to still accept a Leo during a Regulus in Virgo, is to wear a crown like this is more of a joke, but to still be around somebody that definitely is not, I'm not the easiest person, I would say, in the world. So, and I'm not perfect, and I'm definitely loud. So, and I'm not perfect, So, yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I feel like a dum-dum, but art to life on High Vibe. Meant to mention it multiple times earlier. Slipped my mind. It's up there right now. You can learn to paint this beautiful, beautiful stained glass heart piece with Kim DeBay there. So you just hop on High Vibe. It's for free. It is a free app. Obviously, there's a subscription aspect to it, but there is free. There's a lot of free content on there. There's an Art to Life is one of those things that's for free on there. So if you just hop on there, it's got its own tab. You can type in there's an Art to Life. You can learn to paint this, and along with a bunch of other fun projects that are on there as well. So make sure you check that out.
People keep saying, asking my type of what?
Type of woman.
Type of woman.
They want to date you, brah.
My type of girl that I like? Well, I'm a Leo, so as my dad said, maybe you should watch Parental Control on YouTube. Me on Parental Control on MTV. That's a hard one because it's like, I don't know. At this moment, I'm more seeing if somebody just has it. They just see they just see it all. They see the way that I see the universe, to also how life, and they see the inner working parts of life, and they just know how to fit like a glove to me, and I know how to fit like a glove to them. And for somebody to be of that glove, I'm already at kind of a caliber that's pretty crazy, right? And also pretty knowing of myself, and knowing my mission, and knowing where I'm going. So, and also, I'm a beauty king, so I need a beauty queen. And I smoke cigarettes, and I love motors, and I like loud cars, and I like trucks, and I like off-roading, and I like going I'll go fucking over 180 miles an hour in my car. I will jet ski race in the spring and the summer. Like, there's things to my life that definitely don't fit in. I need a partner that can tow a fucking trailer and be a hot babe that's going to go to Vegas with me and blow everybody's minds. Not easy to find. My type.
There you go.
And I'll be honest, I know more of what I don't like than what I like. I don't like girls who are obsessed with schedules. I don't like girls who are like, I have to be doing this, and I have to go to bed, and I have to wake up, and I have to this, or you have to eat this, or you have to, anybody that's all you have to, and like all these like things that hold back the uniqueness of the journey, that's just the biggest turnoff in the world to me. And if you're too Capricornian as far as grandma, grandpa, and you're in your 20s or your 30s, like I'm done. Sorry. I'm going to be a big kid for the rest of my life. And I have lots of responsibilities that I take care of. And when I'm not in those responsibilities, I'm a kid having a good time. And I'm laughing, and I listen to loud music, and I listen to metal, and I DJ crazy fucking music. And I'm definitely not, and I am not somebody that chills a lot. I walk around a lot. I stand up a lot. I don't sit down for long periods of time. I don't rest. I do 5 hours of sleep a night. You know what I mean? Like, I am not, and you can't try and contain me and put me into the bachelorette style ABC view of what love looks like. And it's like, I need somebody who has a little edge, but also knows their hotness, and also knows how to get what they want in this world, knows how to manifest on their own. Like, they already know it. That's hard to find. So that's why you don't ever see me jump into relationship after relationship and break up. I only had 2 relationships in 10 years. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not somebody who just, you're my girlfriend. I don't do that. And it sucks because I have nothing but good things to say about my ex-wife. I still love her to death with all my heart. And I think that she's an amazing person. And so, but that's been over a year of a divorce, and I have not been in a relationship since. So I take the time to go through my shit and go through the hardships of that and do the work on my own, So I don't bring a lot of, old stuff into new stuff. And a lot of people that sometimes I've dated try to bring old stuff into the new stuff, and that ain't gonna work either, because they usually are jumping around, so.
Well, happy birthday, my brother.
Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday.
Love you all. Remember, full disclosure, although we don't usually do it like this, but this show, we answer your questions. We have an email. If you're on High Vibe, you get that email, and then we have a live chat on there. And this is a show where we answer all the questions. And because we're on YouTube, we didn't answer a lot more of the questions that were asked because we don't want to get banned. And we can only answer those behind our own app and paywall because we have our own network. And you can't say the stuff that we are going to say back or answer in true form without being shamed, judged, or kicked off or banned. So, anyway.
It's like the Brady Bunch.
Adios.
Bye. Feels like Zoom.
The Brady
It's our-
Bunch
it's
at High
our
Vibe TV with the cactus cooler
Oh, the
ice
confetti.
and
Bye.
angel food cake
Au revoir. Until
and
next
nice
time.
crown. It's a nice day to not frown.